All right, welcome to this evening's not work session, but this evening's business meeting. We will have a moment of silent prayer, be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would, please stand with me. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, next course of business is to conduct roll call. Commissioner DeMont Davis.
Present.
Commissioner Felicia Franklin. Commissioner Gail Hambrick.
Present.
Commissioner Sana Gregory.
Present.
Let me check on Commissioner Felicia Franklin again. Commissioner Franklin. All right, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Clayton County Board of Commissioners March 16, 2021 meeting. Our first order of business is adoption of the agenda. Do any commissioners want to make any amendments?
All right, before we do that, Commissioner Franklin, are you online now?
I am on.
Okay, thank you. All right, anyone want to amend, delete the agenda as is? Let's see, I think I have one.
Are there no changes?
Hold on a second, I'm looking at something. Okay, I think I'm good.
If there
All
are
right.
no changes.
I heard no changes. So with that being said, is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So move. Motion to adopt.
Is there a second? I'll second the motion. Any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous.
Our next order of business is proclamation, Clayton County African American Women Elected Officials by Commissioner Franklin.
All right.
Clayton
Hello,
County-
everybody. We are so excited that this month is Women's History Month, and it's so apropos because of the fact that not only has Clayton County been the reason that the state of Georgia is on a different trajectory, but the mere fact that that we have 41, and I think 41 to 42 elected African American females, the most in all of the state of Georgia. So I think that is so key. And with that, we can go ahead and kick off the proclamation. It's just to be read into record as we celebrate this this day in history.
Clayton County Board of Commissioners honors Clayton County's African American women elected officials. Whereas Clayton County, Georgia has over 30 elected African American women officials, there are more African American women elected officials in Clayton County than anywhere in the United States. And whereas 3 women serve as Clayton County Board of Commissioners representing Commission Districts 1, 2, and 3. And whereas Clayton County's Magistrate Court is represented by 8 female judges who all happen to be African American. And whereas District Attorney Tasha Mosley is the first Clayton County District Attorney to have previously held the position of Solicitor General. And whereas we celebrate Black women's political powers in Clayton County and the United States. Now, therefore, I, Felicia Franklin, Commissioner on behalf of the Clayton County Board of Commissioners, do hereby call on all citizens to celebrate our historic number of Black women elected officials as we celebrate Women's History Month. In witness thereof, I have here unto set my hand and caused the seal of Clayton County, Georgia, to be affixed this 16th day of March in the year 2021.
Yes, this is so exciting. I want to personally acknowledge the two other African-American females that are on this board, both Commissioner Gregory as well as Commissioner Hambrick. And I know for time's sake, we won't have time to read all of the elected officials' names, but you can definitely find them on all of our email communication to the public. So this is something definitely to be celebrated, especially in the year when we have our very first African-American female as vice president. Such a beautiful day in history.
All right, thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Our next item is MARTA QI jurisdictional briefing.
All right, now we're going to have our quarterly briefing from MARTA staff. I believe Mr. Parker should be online, if he's doing the present. Yes, I see him online. Mr. Parker, as soon as we get you set up.
I'm not sure if anyone can hear me. This is Collie Greenwood from MARTA.
Yes, this is who?
This is Collie Greenwood, Deputy General Manager of MARTA.
Will you be doing the presentation tonight?
I'm sharing the stage with Mr. Parker. We're both, I do have a segment, so I realize Mr. Parker is waiting to get on, and so there appears to be some technical onboarding issues, but in the interest of time, I'd be happy to start with, I believe we're at around page 20 of the slides of the presentation.
Can you set it up? 20.
Thank you, and if we can advance to slide 20 of that.
Yeah, he's working on it. Give him just a second.
Thank you very much.
Chairman, someone has dialed in by phone. I don't know if that would be Mr. Parker as well. He's not listed, his name's not listed, just a phone number.
I see a name listed. Mr. Parker.
There's a message that says that is me.
Okay, Mr. Parker, are you present? Yeah, allow him to speak.
Okay.
Mr. Parker, can you hear me? Mr. Parker? All right, let's just go ahead and move forward with Mr. Greenwood as we work out the technical problems or issues with him. Are we on slide 20? Okay, Mr. Greenwood, we're going to turn it over to you right now.
Thank you very much. Thank you, and good evening, Clayton County. Mr. Moderator, Board of Directors, and honorable members of MARTA staff that are also on board and listening. My name is Collie Greenwood. I am the Deputy General Manager of Operations for MARTA, and it's my pleasure to speak to you tonight about the bus network redesign. The bus network redesign is part of the MARTA 2040 program to deliver, among other things, faster and more reliable service. This has been a long time coming, and over the past 2 years, we've really started to consolidate the voices calling for a holistic, top-to-bottom review of MARTA's bus network. As a result, we've resolved to procure by 2020 the expertise required to design a high-frequency bus network for Atlanta and also to roll out by 2022 a high-frequency network that maximizes the number of people who live and work within a 15-minute walk of frequent transit stops. We're on track to execute on both of those objectives and have come here today to talk with you about the pending bus network redesign, because MARTA feels it's the right step to take, the right time to take it, and that this kind of transformation has to be holistic, foundational, and functional for all of our service areas. Now, more than ever, as we emerge from a very difficult year, top of mind for leadership is what's next for the region. And so it's therefore time to collect the data, to talk it over, to tell the story, and to demonstrate that we're a responsible steward of public funds and that we're well capable to execute on next level bus service as part of an overall transformation initiative. It's really not about downsizing or cost cutting, it's about right sizing, a more efficient network that works better for customers. This is a much needed change for MARTA, and these are critical decisions that we're going to make about frequency, access, coverage, density, and ridership. It calls for early days discussion to avoid any need for last minute decisions. And that's why we're investing a lot of time, energy, and resource into this all-important input phase. Next slide, please. And that's why we're partnering with Jarrett Walker and Associates, or JWA. They've been helping agencies, jurisdictions, and decision makers redesign bus networks for over 25 years now, most recently in places like Houston, Sacramento, Miami. Their strength is in helping clients prepare for and engage in the transit conversation. They recognize that in any limited funds transformation environment, there are options to be had and choices that will ultimately have to be made. It's good news in the long run, but done properly, it is difficult and controversial in the beginning. So as stakeholders, we will walk through the available choices, the consequences and benefits of each, and will collectively contribute our knowledge, experience, passion, and sensitivity to our communities and their values. Invited participants to our 8-day core design retreat will include your planning staff, land use subject matter experts, Atlanta's Transformation Alliance, the Partnership for Southern Equity, and many others. Combining this with JWA's international subject matter and technical expertise, along with input from our Riders Advisory Council, MARTA's Accessibility Committee, and other customer and representative groups, further gives us the knowledge and experience for and confidence of a comprehensive conversation. But before we get there, next slide please, before we get there, a bit about the basic premise. We start with the fact that there are only 24 hours in a day, and on that note, we can all agree. And then from there, we socially at least, if not scientifically, acknowledge that that's just never enough time to tackle the things that we need to do in each day. And as we assign value to the amount of time it takes to access the things we need to do, people we need to see, places we need to go, and it's not just needs, the region is building something here that supports people's wants and aspirations as well. We decide that transit riders' time is valuable, and we acknowledge that we have an impact on the amount of time it takes them to access their wants and needs. We know that inside a given area, and for lack of a technical term, I'm just going to call it a blob, this gray blob, inside this blob are some of the facilities that enable those wants and needs. It could be hospitals, jobs, supplies, social destinations, and we accept that people are not going to consider something a viable option if it just takes too long to get there. So the size of this blob becomes very critical. In a very real sense, your freedom to choose is limited by the things you have access to in a reasonable time frame. Next slide, please. Then we will walk through the process of visualizing access. We'll use granular data about when or where, for instance, the jobs are and how many jobs you can get to within a given time frame using transit. Or if you're an employer, how many people can you get to you in that same time frame using transit? And this access is extended to hospitals, schools, churches, anything that one might want to leave home for. Next slide, please. We will aggregate that data with the darkest shaded zones having the greatest access to the most useful destinations in a given time frame. And now it starts to inform an important narrative about access to opportunity based on any given social, political measure that we may have, be it income distribution, race, political affiliations, etc. Next slide, please. So although there are a number of factors that can impact ridership on any given day, network design is a macro mainstay factor affecting ridership by making the service more useful, more accessible, and more attractive to more people. Increasing the size of the gray area or the blob improves freedom. It improves equitable, inclusive economic development, personal choices, and it leverages the work already done inside that area, the commerce, the development, the destinations, the sidewalks, to be more valuable because they're now accessible to more people. Better transit supports walkability, which also leads to development, satisfaction, and social fulfillment. And transit connects people with jobs, services, and other people, and is therefore key to the value and vitality of any region. Next slide, please. Some commonly used terms in the conversation will include frequent service, which is described as maintaining a designed headway of 15 minutes or better so that the customer will regard the service as having or as being always available or always coming soon. We'll talk about span of service, which is service hours, availability, such as late night, all day, weekends. And as the slide says, the best way to expand access is to provide a frequent, fast, reliable service available to a large number of people and destinations for their benefit. Next slide, please. With density, it comes down to simple math. It costs the same to run more access to more people in densely populated areas as it does in sparsely populated areas. Next slide. The conversation will challenge us. Walkability really is just about, walkability is more than just proximity of destinations. It really speaks to connectivity, planning, and safe access on both sides of the street. Next slide, please. The different goals and the different service, this conversation will challenge us to consider whether or not maximum access is what we really want. I mean, at first blush, it's clear on this fictional map where you would run your 18 buses for maximum access. And then the conversation will turn on the differing goals. Next slide, please. If ridership is your goal, then the high frequency linear system affords the most access to most people in this fictional town, but it would underserve the valuable 20 or 30% of your population. Next slide, please. On the other hand, the competing coverage goal says, yeah, we can run a bus route near everybody's house, but that bus will come likely about once an hour, and that actually works for some customers, but it will not serve as a viable option for many others. Next slide, please. These goals push us in very different directions, from the ability to establish a baseline level of access everywhere, leaving no one behind with an expansive but underutilized network, to the ability to dramatically increase ridership and all the benefits that come with it, but with vast areas of transit deserts. Or, next slide please, or somewhere in between. So we will seek a value statement from you, collectively, a deliberate balance that gives us clear direction. With this clear direction, we will develop alternatives to contrasting networks with the public as an active part of the decision-making process. Next slide, please. From fiction to fact, this brings it home. Here at MARTA, we have 540 buses distributed over 110 routes, 7 of which run largely here in Clayton County. Some are more productive than others, and our redesign will address the choices, trade-offs, and conversations required of your inputs, the constituents, transit consumers, stakeholders. And armed with maps, facts, and figures from our existing conditions report, we will want them to think about the decision and provide feedback to ensure you're not left to decide this in a vacuum. Ultimately, the draft plan will reflect the balance that you choose, and as many people as possible will be aware of and or supportive of the outcome. Next slide, please. And finally, this high-level timeline illustrates how we have been and will be spending this incredibly fast year. Today is part of our first round of jurisdictional briefings as we continue to analyze existing conditions leading up to the development of alternatives this spring. Technical workshops will begin March 29th, and this is a 2-week series of intensive workshops. Your staff has been invited, designed for planners and engineers who focus on economic development, land use, and transportation, followed by stakeholder engagement, stakeholder workshops, and public meetings late spring, early summer. Our board retreat is planned for July, where board members will be poring over the aforementioned information and feedback and engaging in related discussions and healthy debate. We anticipate board direction later this summer, which will immediately be followed by a series of workshops, a second round of jurisdictional briefings, and public meetings to help develop the draft bus network this fall. By the end of this year, we plan to have held public hearings, finalize the network, and obtain board adoption of the final plan. And next year, we roll out the service changes. The schedule, the process, and specific instructions for next steps of engagement can be found on our 2-page overview available now on MARTA's website. Next slide, please. This is demanding. It's comprehensive, and it will be a big deal. But like I said in the beginning, it's been a long time coming, and there's no better time, and there's no better place. With that, Mr. Moderator, I return the matter to you.
All right, thank you. And if we would, just hold our questions till after Mr. Parker gives his presentation. Mr. Parker, can you hear me?
Jackie said he can hear us, we can't hear him.
I think he's on now. He has to be unmuted. Mr. Parker?
He's apparently he's called in, but he's not been unmuted. They're in the process of troubleshooting that issue right now. I'm getting texts as we engage here. While that's happening, I'm open to questions on the presentation or comments if you so deem appropriate, Mr. Chair.
All right, anybody have any questions for Mr. Greenwood on his part of the presentation?
Yes, I have one.
Commissioner Hambrick?
I'm not sure which number the slide was, but it starts out with maximize transit for our area. And I noticed that the area, I believe, was Norfolk, Virginia. Is that correct?
Maximize, can you tell me the title of the slide again, please?
Yeah, maximize transit for our area. It was about midway.
It was right before the slide on density.
The title just doesn't ring a bell, but was it a map?
No, it just lists a number of ways that the transit, I guess the transit system can assist in communities.
Okay, all right.
Yes,
So
that's it.
I think, yeah, okay, good. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, when a transit network maximizes access, it increases the likelihood that the service is useful for any particular trip. So that's speaking to, for example, if there's a business in a particular area, it may have had a usefulness index of 8, for example, on the scale when there weren't as many people able to get there within a reasonable time frame. But now that we've improved now that we've improved transit and made it more attractive to more people, that very same business is its value to the community, to the region is leveraged and maximized beyond the 8 that it used to be, because more people are able to get there on time, and more people are able to consider that a viable destination for them.
Will MARTA make this, these things that are listed, will you all make this, I guess, prevalent to Clayton County, and particularly the access to economic opportunity, the value of investments in walkability communities, and I guess functionality of city,
Right.
the city, but particularly 1 and 3.
Yeah.
Will you all be assisting us in those type things?
Absolutely. The premise for this network redesign review is to make sure that these are the things that that the community is going to benefit from. Now, it's a conversation that people have to have. There are choices that have to be made, and the Jared Walker and Associates, the folks that are going to be walking us through this, will absolutely explain the merits of leveraging these types of things. Access to economic opportunity, there's no denying what that can do for a region from an equitable perspective and from an overall productivity perspective. And so they'll walk through each of these things and explain why a particular network design would benefit in these areas. And then they'll say, now to get this with limited funds, the trade-offs are going to be perhaps some of the, some of the reach factors in getting to all areas of the community. So they'll absolutely explain the positives and the negatives, and based on what we are told by you, the decision makers, those will be the opportunities that we develop and actually start to put lines on the map. The conversation part of this exercise takes the better part of the year. The actual drawing of the maps and getting them approved happens a lot quicker.
Will MARTA be making investments in walkable communities? Or in a walkable community in our county?
So, to the best of our ability, yes. To the best of MARTA's ability, yes, but MARTA is serving the entire region, and so that's why these conversations about the investments, the value of investments in a walkable community have to be had by everyone. Does that answer your question?
Not exactly.
I agree.
All right, so let me put it this way. I would be remiss to preempt the value of a year's worth of discussion by your planners and your land use representatives and your elected officials and all the people in Clayton County by coming out and saying we're going to focus on walkability in the community. I personally value it, MARTA values it, Jarrett Walker and Associates value it, but we're going to put all the facts in front of the workshop participants and let them decide if that's what we're going to prioritize.
Okay, I have a question.
Commissioner Franklin.
I'll wait to be acknowledged.
I acknowledge you, Commissioner Franklin.
Thank you. And I just want to definitely echo what Commissioner stated. I'm glad to hear that you all have come before our board with an elaborate plan. However, when you talk about putting it before the communities, it sounds as if we're always starting over at the end of the day when these presentations come from MARTA. I'm really pleased with some of the things we've been able to get done, such as the hub that we got the first part of the hub done over at the Justice Center, which actually helped us to solve a problem and an issue that had been just sitting there stagnant with buses blocking the entrance and the exit way of one of our facilities here in the county. And actually, it was definitely a hazard. But also we are aware of the fact that when we were negotiating the 15th Amendment, that's when we finally got the bus shelters all of a sudden, where before it was each shelter is going to cost over $10,000. And so I just want to definitely piggyback on what Commissioner Hambrick brought to your attention. And I will say that the question still stands as to how is MARTA going to ensure safe passageways to these stops? We're ever so grateful to have the shelters. And also, I hope the public is listening. We're actually picking up the trash. The county is doing that. And then, of course, we have, in the cities, they also are doing that and emptying the trash. But at the end of the day, we still have one of the most dangerous state roads in Georgia, which is 1941, with very little walkways. And as you know, we're sitting on the ATL Transit Authority. One of the projects that was presented to us was actually to redo sidewalks on the north end of the 13 county region. And thankfully, the plan that included Clayton County was included in the ARTP plan and what was pushed forward. But as Commissioner Gregory Hambrick has brought forth, it still is the need for us to remember first mile and last mile. Mm-hmm. And so there needs to be a specific focus on the walkability of our communities, especially with us trying to figure out within the next 20 years if we're going to ever see this commuter rail. So our community, we still have a long way to go to make sure that our community see a plan that you so eloquently laid out. But once again, as I stated in the past, it was a great plan that you laid out. but we want to see a timeline and we want to see the walkability of this community because we're growing and we need to make sure that our folks are safe.
I couldn't agree more. I think it's this kind of insight, this kind of passion and representation of the community that needs to be a part of the ongoing conversation. And I mean, when I say ongoing, I mean we have a very intense 8-day review for people that can represent these needs and really put that voice to the decision-making process long before the decisions are made. So that's part of the reason that we're here and talking to you, is to ensure that everyone's aware. Go to the website. There's this 2-page how to engage, and it's not just for representatives, but it's for anyone in the community that's interested. We will not only have, you know, the on-site engagement led by the international experts. We will have a 4 p.m. check-in at the end of every engagement session where people that, you know, aren't land use planners and engineers and urban planners and politicians, where folks can still check in and get updates so that they can be a part of the conversation. I couldn't sit here and represent all of the needs the way you both have eloquently just done that, but what I will say is that this is an ardent invitation for that kind of conversation and input throughout the process.
Commissioner, can you hear me now? Chairman,
Yes.
This is Jeff Parker.
Yes, Mr. Parker. Yes. You like to chime in?
Apologize, I'm not sure what was happening. I've been hearing this the whole time, and finally it's unmuted. I called back a couple times, but you know, I do want to say you know, a couple things, and I'll jump back to my presentation in a minute. We're doing a system-wide design, but one thing that we do need to keep and remember is that we have done and I'll get into this in a second, a Clayton County transit plan, and we're committed to those bus routes. So we're not looking to change the commitments that we've made through both the 14th and 15th Amendment. And we value and see the importance of first and last mile connectivity. And we are more than happy to work with the county and the municipalities to deal with those issues, but many of those issues have got to be dealt with holistically with both the cities that our bus stops are in and where it's unincorporated. You know, Clayton County in installing a sidewalk system, there is a lot to do. There is a big deficit around sidewalks in this county and around our bus stops. So we're committed to working with you, but we cannot independently solve this long-standing problem around walkability. And you know, there's a major state road. We're happy to work with GDOT and happy to work with the county and committed to doing that. But you know, we've got to make sure that our bus stops are installed in a way that we're leveraging the investment that the state is going to make in maintaining safety around the roadways that they own. We would be out of resources quickly and not be able to deliver on our promises if we were responsible for installing the sidewalks up and down Tara Boulevard, because it's a large project. So you have my commitment that we will be a piece of working on that long-standing problem in Clayton County around the lack of sidewalks.
Okay.
Is that
Mr.
fair?
Chairman, may I ask one more question?
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Parker, and good to have you here today with us. Glad you finally got on. I was reading your messages. You were trying to communicate. Thank you. But I'm glad you stated that, and that's the beauty, once again, of the ATL Transit Link Authority, as you know, is because you do have GDOT at that table, and you do have all the stakeholders there. And I thank you for sharing that information. But one quick question. What happens to the information that was gathered during those work sessions between our Clayton County Board of Commissioners government, as well as the cities. And I do know that the focus of that at that particular time was to end up with the routes for BRT, as well as for the commuter rail, as I stated, that we're still trying to work through. But when you said we can't do it independently, you're exactly right. We cannot. But we've had several of those sessions that took place. I think one was in Morrow, one was at another location. I can't remember the location, but how is that information from those sessions going to be utilized? Are we starting over once again, as it was stated earlier?
No, we are in the case of the service that we have on the streets, as well as the 2 routes, and I'll talk about that in a minute when I get to my presentation. We're committed to continuing to provide the services that we've committed to in the 14th and 15th Amendment. So we're not starting over. In this case, I think it's going to be about frequency and span of service, and make sure that that the way we've designed the service that we've put together throughout that process of developing a Clayton County Transit implementation plan, that the work that we've been doing, the meetings that you've referred to, is just optimized, not looking to back off on any of those commitments.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. Parker, you can go ahead and go into your presentation, please.
All right, appreciate it. If you could just bring us up to the front. I'm going to go right into, you can go to the next slide. We've covered the bus network redesign, the last item on it, and I'm going to give you an update on these 4 other topics. So next slide, please. Critically important, next slide, is, we have had to implement our essential bus service where we suspended several bus routes in order to make sure that we were running safe and sustainable bus transportation. Since the advent of COVID-19, we've implemented a lot of measures to improve the safety for our customers and our operators on the buses, including better filtration system, better filters on the buses, shields for our operators like you see in retail stores, a new regimen around cleaning, regular cleaning in middays, as well as every bus overnight being disinfected. And then we're complying with the federal mask mandate and have a very high compliance, but also make masks available on the buses. We're about to finish installing a needlepoint bipolar ionization system, and this will provide cleaner air. It is a mechanism that is found in many hospitals, and this is our Breathe Easy program. And we believe that this provides a safer environment that will allow us to have more people on the buses. And with that, we are in the process of planning the reintroduction of all 110 routes on April 24th. Beginning of April, we'll be rolling out the planned schedules that we're developing now and allow our operators to pick their shifts. And on Saturday, April 24th, we will have all 110 of our routes back in service. So next slide, please. And this is a point that builds on my comments earlier. We have been developing and working with the county and a series of public meetings, including the one that was just referenced in Morrow. And we will be implementing additional service to meet those commitments that we made both in the 14th and 15th Amendment. So in our August markup, we will be implementing the 2 additional routes that we've committed to previously, the 197 and the 198, and this will help to provide some east-west connectivity in the county, so that we can make better connections. I think this is really exciting. the August markup is when the operators pick the work in full implementation in the fall. So excited about that. And then that will meet the level of service that we committed to provide in the 14th and 15th Amendment. And as Kali has laid out, the process that we're going to really fine tune our operation, we are not going to back off on the commitments that we've made in the, with the 14th and 15th Amendments. So I don't want anyone to believe that the efforts of this significant effort that Kali's talked about is any way going to, diminish the service that we are providing here in Clayton County. So next slide, please. Some updates on our 2040 program. Next slide, please. The transit system plan, and this is what we've been focusing on, making sure that we have a comprehensive system here in Clayton County, and this is what we're working to achieve. Next slide, please. An update on where we are. We've completed the roadshow back in September. Public comment period, the website. We've gotten a significant amount of feedback with our next steps in 2021 in the spring, finalizing our implementation strategy, and the board adopting this plan in the winter of 21, beginning to implement these phase one of these recommendations. So we're looking forward to that. Next slide, please. So this is the summary of what we will have completed in phase one, or proposed to complete in phase one and phase two. We are beginning significant outreach on over the next month or so on the BRT route into Riverdale, and we'll be announcing that very shortly. That will connect into the mobility center. Also advancing the planning work on the two ARTs, and then obviously the local bus service with the addition of the two cross routes that I talked about a moment ago. We will be working on the design of the additional mobility centers, and also the phase two of the mobility center that we've opened. So we've got a lot of progress on this, and I think a great plan underway to move this forward. Next slide. So important update around this. This BRT system, which is mirroring the one of the busiest routes that we have in Clayton County. We're looking to implement this in two phases. First, the South Lake, and then a second phase from all the way out to Jonesboro Justice Center. As I said a minute ago, we will begin our public engagement April 2021, and that will put us in a position to begin the environmental phase in the summer of 2021, and ultimately we need to get environmental clearance from the FTA, and that will lead us, once we are clear of the environmental process, we can begin to apply for federal funding. So this is the beginning of this public engagement is really a significant effort that gets us on the path to, clearing the project environmentally and ultimately getting funds to the federal government. Next slide, please. Update on the O&M facility. A lot of work has been done on this. And most recently, the MARTA Board of Directors did approve a resolution to allow us to acquire the land. We are working cooperatively with the City of Forest Park. They approved their resolution earlier this week. So we are now poised to make an offer to the property owners to procure the land, and we'll be working through that process so that we can acquire the land. And then once we have the land, we will finalize the design and quickly move into the construction phase for this project. Next slide, please. This is just a picture of the site. It's actually two parcels, a north parcel and a south parcel. And also see this as a key facility for not only the operation of the bus service in Clayton County, but a substation for our police department will be located here, as well as some ability to operate and maintain some mobility vans out of this, and this will become a key facility for MARTA service in the southern part of our system, and obviously including Clayton County, but this will also be an area where buses that operate in South DeKalb and South Fulton operate out of. So we're excited about this facility. Very accessible to the highway, which reduces our overall operating cost of this facility. Next slide. So just an update on what we've done. I've talked a little bit about the benefits of the buses that we will be operating out of there, but we implemented a study to look at the financial impact to the economy of Clayton County and see that it will create over 368 jobs in the county over the construction period, have over $110 million of total impact on the economy of the county. So we see that this investment is just a multiplying effort in really a return on investment that we think will be felt very strongly, not only benefiting MARTA's ability to drive and operate its transit system, but also the positive economic impact to the county. So next slide, please. I want to just spend a minute talking about the positive federal outlook, because as we know, next slide, our success in delivering these projects is tied to our ability to get federal funds. We're all well aware that there is a new presidential administration. The Biden administration has set some very clear priorities and emphasis on resiliency and infrastructure investment. We see that the president is now working and focusing the administration's efforts on a long-needed long-term infrastructure bill, which will provide funding for many years to come. We have a new Secretary of Transportation, who I think we're all familiar with, Secretary Buttigieg, who's got a background in municipal government. And we also have an acting federal administrator who I'm sure will be going through a nomination process soon. But Nuria Fernandez, I consider her a friend. She was a peer of mine until taking this position, running our transit system on the West Coast, and someone I've known for a number of years. And I'm really excited to have a real transit professional who's got a significant amount of experience around the country on big projects and different properties, leading the Federal Transit Administration. Key things that have happened: we have received additional COVID-19 relief funding. FAST Act reauthorization is critical to our future. And then finally, community project funding by members of Congress. Community project funding is a term that is many refer to as earmarks, and we will be working with our members of Congress as they advance earmark processes and projects. So more to come on that. Next slide, please. Want to review some key partnerships that we've been working with the county on. Next slide. We supported a Congressman Scott's vaccination event back in March. Very successful. Provided a van to make sure that we could get people to and from. Always glad to support efforts around vaccination. Next slide. We're our bus kings. These are the ads on the side of our buses. We really want to make sure that we're supporting the county's initiative with its new logo. I think you saw some pictures of all of us standing outside on a very cold day, recognizing and rolling out this bus to really bring focus to your new logo. So we're glad to support you in that. Next slide, please. And then we're also working with the state, providing free shuttles to the state's mass vaccination site at the Delta Air Museum. While it's mostly a drive-up site, they are making arrangements so that people who don't have access to automobiles can get vaccinations at this mass vaccination site. And we will be running a continuous shuttle bus from College Park Station to make sure that people can access the vaccination site. Next slide, please. And that concludes our presentation. We've already gone through the bus network redesign. So with that, Chairman Turner, I will turn it back to you. Thank you for your attention.
Yeah, appreciate your presentation, but you didn't touch on the commuter rail component. What is the update and status of the commuter rail?
You know, we're continuing to work on that. We are prepared to reconfirm with the railroad their requirements, and once we have that, we would like to sit down with the county and all of the cities along the way, as we have spoken about, to make sure that there's a complete understanding of the physical impacts of the construction of this corridor, in terms of having using their right of way in a separated way, and how that would impact. I forget off the top of my head the hundreds of parcels that we've spoken about before. So we'll be prepared over the next couple of months to come back and have a kind of a workshop with the county as well as the cities along there to really identify those impacts that we will all need to recognize and understand before we really advance this project to the next step.
Yeah, so have the conversation been ongoing with Norfolk Southern?
I'm sorry, I was having a little trouble hearing what you just said.
Are the conversations with Norfolk Southern, are they ongoing, or it sounds like has been a break, or what?
Well, we've had some clear direction from them around the the separation of what was needed in terms to keep the commuter rails separate from their existing right of way. And I think since it's been a significant amount of time since we've confirmed that, we need to reconfirm that and then bring that back to the to you as a political body as well as the cities, and confirm those locations. I fully anticipate that the railroad is going to continue to insist on that separation between the commuter rail corridor and the freight railroad.
Has the commuter rail environmental report, has that been completed, or is that ongoing still too?
No, that would be the next step that we would move into and begin clearing environmental process and understanding how all those, particularly how those property acquisitions, would have impacts that we'd have to deal with through the environmental process.
Now,
that will be an extensive process, that environmental process.
Yeah, but it's a process that has to be completed. Now, as all options still on the table, I hear what you're saying about their rail line wanting there to be a separation, but also there's, some other options that we look at as like building a separate line, and I think you alluded to that. So I just want to make sure that you do understand that all the options need to be still on the table. Clayton County taxpayers voted in 2014 for a rail component, so that needs to happen some form or fashion. And my last question is federal funding. Has that been applied for as of yet?
No. All of these projects we need to clear environmentally before we get federal funding, although the one area where we because we've already cleared that environmentally, we were able to get a grant to help fund the O&M facility. The next, the BRT line that I spoke about earlier will be the next project that we intend on, being able to clear environmentally and apply for federal funds for that project.
Commissioner Davis, you have something?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Parker. You alluded earlier
You're welcome.
to the April 24th date. I just want to I just want to get clarification that that is going to be not only the level of service pre-COVID, but also the frequency of those routes running?
We're developing those schedules right now. We will continue to use all the resources that we have, but we also recognize that some of our busiest bus routes that, quite frankly, pre-COVID or during rush hour, just, jam-packed full with people, we need to add additional service on there, on many of those routes. So we need to balance that so we have the right capacity so we can, have safe operation and only allow the seated passengers on the bus. The plan is on April 24th, when we go into service, that we will still limit the number of people on a bus, but the limit will be the number of seats on that bus. And so we're working on the schedules for each of those routes now to balance with what we anticipate the ridership to be. So it will not be identical to the service frequencies for each of the lines. Some of the routes, the busier routes, will have to have more service, and the less, the lower ridership routes will have to expand the headway and have limited service. But we will return service on all 110 bus routes. I'll have more definitive information at the beginning of April. It's really a work in progress right now that we're undergoing.
And we will begin to get that information at the beginning of April to pass on to our constituents?
Yes, we will get that to all the jurisdictions once it's developed, so that you can see it as soon as it's developed.
Thank you.
Kali may have some more information about when those will be available. Is the beginning of April the right time for those public timetables? Kali, if you're still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I don't know, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so we don't have a definitive date. Yeah, the first week or two in April is when we anticipate that our schedule will be finalized.
Okay, if it goes beyond April, please let us know in advance, so we would have some sort of.
Yeah, right. We are, the date of April 24th is a firm commitment. We're not going to slide from that date. The date that we don't know is when we will have the public timetables available, as we're building them now. So I want to be clear on that. We're not suggesting we're going to slip on the restart of the service on April 24th.
Okay. Any other questions?
This is Hambrick, and it's not a question, but
Commissioner Hambrick.
Mr. Parker, can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Parker and Mr. Greenwood, Martyr, thank you all so much for continuing to work on that maintenance facility and all. And I'm hoping that, with that number of people, employees and all, that we will make a special effort to get Clayton County employees employed there and all. And just thank you all so much for continually doing that and making it, I think, a reality, and especially doing it in District 2. So thank you all so very much.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I should recognize that part of the commitments that we made when the county joined in the 14th Amendment was to have a focus on employing residents of the county. So placing the bus facility in Clayton County is important, but as you pointed out, it's just a piece of that commitment. It's also recognizing the commitment to the focus on job fairs for your citizens and making sure that we can gainfully employ a substantial number of your residents at our at our facility in Clayton County.
Oh, great, thank you.
Any other questions?
One quick question, if I may.
Commissioner.
Yes.
Commissioner Franklin.
Thank you. Again, thank you, Jeff, for that presentation, and I too am glad to hear that these routes are going to be reinstated, because I get calls every day about that, especially considering we got a lot of folks that are in the service industry. So with that, I want to also ask you, do you know offhand what are the range of the income levels or the pay for those positions? Just where maybe off the top of your head, maybe just the starting salary versus the top salary, because we not only want our folks to have opportunities to have those jobs there, but one of the things that we're working diligently on is offering higher wage jobs in our county. So do you have an idea of what that pay range will be, or can you provide it to us later?
We can provide it to you. You know, I will say that we will employ a wide range of individuals. You know, some of our wage rates are, you know, on the lower side of $15, $16, $17 an hour for our less skilled employees, but you know, our what we call mechs and techs, the employees that maintain our buses. I don't know, colleagues, you have a sense of that's probably the highest paid kind of non-supervisory position that we would be employing. Those, I suspect those are in the high 20s, you know, off the top of my head. We can send you something that summarizes those wages, but it's a good range of you know, entry-level jobs, different skills, and many of these jobs we do have you know, apprenticeship programs to make sure that you know, that we can attract people and train them along the way as well.
Awesome. One other quick just suggestion. I would love to see us work with our CTAE program with the school system on that. That was it. Thank you again.
Sure.
Any other
Absolutely.
questions? All right, hearing none, I appreciate the presentation once again, and I would like to acknowledge our MARTA representative here, Ms. Roberta Abdul-Salam. Thank you for coming. Thanks again, Mr. Parker, Mr. Greenwood. Have a great day. Madam Clerk.
Our next item is acknowledgement
Thank you.
of support and partnership for COVID-19. This is Commissioner Gregory.
Commissioner Gregory.
Well, this is basically just acknowledging that I will be collaborating with Representative Sandra Scott to acknowledge some of those that we have lost to COVID-19. So that's really all this is.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Madam Clerk.
The board will now hear public comments. Citizens will be given 3 minutes maximum time limit to speak before the Board of Commissioners. Please state your name and county of residency for the record. Speak clearly into the microphone, and speakers should be courteous, respectful, and not make any disparaging remarks or use abusive language when addressing the board.
Ms. Terry Farr. Come to the podium, please. You, Ms. Farr?
Yes, I am.
Yes, ma'am.
How are you doing?
Doing well.
I'm good, I'm great. I'm here because,
State your name for us.
yes, sir, my name is Terry Farr. I am not a resident. I am a resident, but I'm from California, and I moved here, and long story short, I've been having ongoing problems with the retired police officer behind me. And what I mean by that is, I bought some property which is behind him. My property has been damaged. He had taken a garden and he had created it. In the meantime, as he created it, he took all his rocks and threw it onto my property, which had killed my whole landscape. I'm a little nervous, so my heart beating a little fast, but long story short, I've been here numerous of times, not only with that issue, but the neighbor across the way, which is his friend. I painted my house 2018. I painted it peach and another light color. It's bird puke all over it. I have called animal control, I've done everything I can do. I even called wildlife. They told me that you can tame pigeons. Mike Tyson has done it, prisoners has done it, military has done it. You can use pigeons to carry whatever, anything you want. Now, by him constantly doing this, I have tried to send you pictures since 2018. I can try to send pictures to Felicia Franklin, which I do appreciate her because she did come out, initiated it in the beginning when the whole back area was nasty. She did send code enforcement for them to clean it. But since then, it's been ongoing. I get more police tickets. Every time I turn around, I'm getting police tickets. One incident happened at, Wayfield's Foods or somewhere here off of Tyra Road, Winfield Foods. It was a dog that was wanted. You know, I didn't know the dog was wanted. I just found the dog. I didn't want to keep it. Some in the neighborhood like, who dog is it? Who dog is it? Long story short, 2 days went by. There was a sign posted. I called the people to give them back the dog. I get down there by on Tyra Road and so, at Wingfield, whatever this store is called, grocery store, right there off Tyra Road.
Wayfield.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I go there on October the 2nd, bring them the dog. They pull guns on me. I called for the police that was in the parking lot. The police officer takes me down. I had nothing, no weapon and nothing. She allowed them to get away. Then the people called back while I was sitting there talking to the officer, and she took their statement. But still nothing's been done in court. Yesterday, on the 8th, I'm outside with my dog. The neighbor goes by. He lets his dog, my dog accidentally come out of the garage. I didn't know it was in there when my daughter opened it. The neighbor turns around and put guns on us. I called the police.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Your time is up, but let me ask you a quick question.
This is getting annoying because I keep coming to you.
Listen, ma'am. Have you spoken to the police chief?
I've spoken to this gentleman. I've been down there to on McDonough.
Yes,
your consumer affairs.
Internal affairs.
Yeah, I've been there. I've done all this. And this has been going on since 2018. I turned around today to try to get a business license. I'm a retired electrician, 16 years. I retired from breast cancer. I moved here and I bought property to retire. I have been here and I have been going through nothing but humiliation, terminate, and almost lost my life numerous of times.
I'm sorry to interrupt though, because you spoke to the police department and I believe they sent you a letter about how to take care of the pigeons, or some people, or a company that can take care of the pigeons.
No.
Okay, well.
The gentleman turned around. When I went to him, the supervisor there, he turned around and said, I'm no longer going to deal with your case no more. You know, you're on your own. This is what, and I come here and I talked to a gentleman named Mr. Kevin Robertson or something like that.
That's the police chief.
Yeah, I spoke with him. I gave him all the information to this. Even got videos. I got videos from 2018 till today. And this is still going on. My land is destroyed.
Go ahead, ma'am.
My land is destroyed. My patient is very worn out. I have an auntie that I didn't even know she was my auntie. Her name is Shirley C. Franklin. She's my great aunt. And I didn't know that until my grandfather told me. And I want to reach her because I'm tired. You know, I'm a Jehovah's Witness. I have respect for your state, and I have respect for my religion. I know you probably didn't see me stand there or even pledge to the flag because we don't do that. But I do respect you all. But you got to come and respect me too.
Okay, so I understand that you're crying out for help, and we're trying to get you that help, okay? So between the police chief and the COO, Ms. Stanford right there, they're going to take care of you, or at least try to help address some more of those issues, okay? But we have to move on, ma'am. Okay. Thank you.
I will move on. But I have a question. How can I see this video? Because I've been here numerous times.
It's recorded and it will be replayed on our website.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm 58 years old.
I understand, ma'am. I understand.
All right.
Christopher Gallagher.
How you doing, Chairman and Commissioners? Yeah, I came tonight. I understand afterwards they're going to have a zoning meeting about the homes being built by Eden Fresh there. In River's Edge, there's a lot of nice homes, $300,000 homes. They took a hit with the housing, the crash in '08 there, the golf course closing, and some other things, but property values are going back up. They said they wanted to emulate one of the neighborhoods that was in there. They picked one of our worst neighborhoods that we have 90% of our problems, from. And I understand that they want to build homes there, and that's fine, but they keep saying Clayton County, like Clayton County is trash or something. Clayton County is a beautiful county there. Right down the road, they're building 300,000 plus on-up homes. Now they're up to $450,000 there. They're right on the line of Clayton County there. We have a beautiful county, and there they can build, $300,000 homes. And the way the market is right now, where they're paying $15,000, $20,000 and fighting over buying homes because there's a shortage there. And they also back up right into $300,000 home properties there. That one subdivision's all the way over here, and they're here, so it's not even close to it. So they just need to build, more expensive, homes in there. They said they're going to have an HOA. When we asked who's going to run it, they didn't know me, Katai and DRs. Our homeowners association said, no way, I don't see a pool, any amenities in there, so they'll probably be trying to climb over, use our pools there, so, a lot of the homeowners are all doing it, they come, but the way it was proposed with the last setup I saw there, we're just against it. It's not an asset to our community there. Just build beautiful homes. Are going to be an asset to our homes there. That's what I'm asking. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Looks like Matt Miley. As he's coming, just a quick reminder that we are having town hall or open meeting or hearings for zoning requests at the end of the regular agenda. So if any of you are here to speak in opposition or in favor of any zoning requests, that would be the time to do that. But you are still most welcome at any time if you're signed up and would still like to speak to us now. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is, can I pull this down?
Yes, sir.
My name is Matthew Miley, and I live in River's Edge subdivision in Clayton County. And there's a proposed subdivision that is going to be built next door to where I live now. And that's at County Line Road and Plantation Parkway, something like that. And I oppose it for more than one reason. The main reason is that the homes that are going to be built there are going to affect the value of my home in a negative manner, because my home is still $250,000, and they're going to put 35 homes that's worth $180,000 right on my front steps, and we know that will negatively affect the property value of my home, and that's one reason. The other thing is that we were near an elementary school, River's Edge Elementary School, and the kids that are going to be going to school there, in this new subdivision, will have to walk up not county line, but they'll have, partly county line, but mainly they'll have to walk up North Bridge for almost a half mile. And that speed limit through there is like 40 miles an hour. And so you know what they're probably doing, 50, I guess. And no sidewalks. They'll have to walk on the streets. So and of course, to keep them walking on the streets, the kids then are they're gonna walk through our subdivision, which we've already got problems with kids, trespassing, walking through your yards and stuff like that. And so that's gonna be another thing that we have to deal with. So I wish that the people would kind of think about some of these things, especially the part where are going to negatively affect my my property value now. And it's like people don't think that Clayton County is good enough to buy a $200,000 home.
I'm sorry, sir, but your time is up.
All
I'm
right.
sorry, but your time is up.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sam Brown.
Commissioner, my name is Sam Brown. I live in the same area as the last two gentlemen that came up here, Chris Gallagher and Matt Malley. I want to piggyback off of what they said, and I concur with what they said.
Thank you, sir. Orlando Gooden. Yes, sir.
Orlando Gooden, Clayton County. During my last public comment, I mentioned 2 news releases for the Keep Clayton County Beautiful program, or KCCB. I also talked about the need for a code of conduct. The news release January 10, 2020 stated, quote, "In support of the quality of life outlined in the strategic plan, the Board of Commissioners approved the KCCB program. The purpose of the program was to inspire and educate people to take action every day to improve and enhance their community." The news release February 9, 2021 stated, quote, "In an effort to decrease and eliminate litter, KCCB implements 3 public service programs to help clean Clayton County. A, adopt a spot. B, adopt a road. C, adopt a bus stop." COO Dietrich Stanford said, "The overall goal of these initiatives is to clean Clayton County while boosting morale." 1 week later, February 16, 2021, the KCCB program was abolished by the Board of Commissioners. Come Home to Clayton asked Commissioner Franklin to give her the views on beautification. She said, "In addition to universal trash pickup, code enforcement, and refuse control, these programs and community engagements are critical to the ongoing cleanup and beautification to work effectively and efficiently. Volunteer efforts must work in tandem with county-wide initiatives." I have 3 questions. How is that different from KCCB, what they offer? Wasn't KCCB part of an inclusive program? And who is the director of this new program? This is the second time Commissioners Gregory and Hambrick voted to cancel KCCB. They also voted against the Red Roof Plus hotel chain from buying the Holiday Inn on Old Dixie Road. It is a bigger eyesore now than it was before. Good job, Commissioners. Rude behavior has a long history with the Board of Commissioners. March 2nd, this board refused to take a vote on code of conduct. So for my public comments, I will do exactly what Commissioner Hambrick said. I will not approve of any code of conduct because I am going to break it. I spoke about CFO Bivens and COO Dietrich. I watched the work session with CFO Bivens. It was excellent. But I have a question. Did you include the medical board in that budget? Because that's a 7-figure budget. Was that included in her presentation? I didn't hear
That presentation was mid-year for 2021's budget.
Okay, well, aren't
The
you
new
running
budget
out?
hasn't been set yet.
Aren't you running out of time for the medical examiner? 'Cause you
We're
had the
already
first-
operating.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, we already have funds allocated that we were paying the GBI for the full year, fiscal year.
Oh, I thought it
So
ended
that
in
money,
January.
no, their service ended. But we are still paying. We have a pot of money that we're still
Are
paying.
you still building your own facility?
Well, we're still working on it, so thank you for your time.
Thank
so.
you.
All right, Sabrina looks like McMillan.
Commissioners, Mr. Chairman, my name is Sabrina McMillan. I'd
State your name again.
Sabrina McMillan.
McMillan. Okay.
McMillan. First, I'd like to thank you for your cooperation in our recovery soars that we had down at the Aquatic Center a couple years back. And I'd like to know if you all have anybody volunteering at the table to speak to the recovery community, because I feel like we have needs as well when it comes to MARTA and the things that that are important for the recovery process and to maintain it. So if there is a committee or some kind of organization that's here that we can get the information to, or I can be a part of, I would appreciate it, sir.
If you'd like to get my number, I don't see the COO, but out front there's some cards. If you get my number, Chairman Turner, then give me a call and we'll talk about that further.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Mickey Garber.
Mr. Chairman, I respectfully yield the podium to the next speaker.
Thank you, sir. Michael Conley.
Mr. Chairman, the residents of Rivers Edge have already spoken. I'll yield and just totally respect exactly what they said.
Thank you, sir. Karen Kelly.
Good evening. I'm Karen Kelly, and I'm a volunteer with the Clayton County Humane Society. And on behalf of the Humane Society, whoops, I'm so sorry. On behalf of the Humane Society, I do appreciate this opportunity to come before you tonight to talk about our request to use the Clayton County's International Park as the venue to host a walkathon this May. It's listed in the agenda this evening as Resolution 2021-60. Anyway, as we are all painfully aware, this pandemic has been costly in so many ways and certainly on so many levels. For us at the Humane Society, it has deeply affected our financial coffers. Since the start of the pandemic, we have been unable to host several of our major annual fundraisers. We rely heavily, of course, on these fundraisers to do the work that we do in animal rescue. So in an effort to come up with a fundraiser that we thought would be as safe as possible under the circumstances in which we live, and that would have the potential for great success, we decided on a walkathon, the Mutt Strut. As of course you are now aware, we would love to host this event at the International Park, and we feel that it would be an excellent fit for everyone. The Bark Park lends itself well for this type of event, and our thought is to start and end the walkathon, at the Bark Park using the awesome trails within the International Park. We would also love to bring some of our shelter dogs. We were invited to come to the grand opening of the Bark Park, and we were there, and it was awesome. And we'd love to bring back some of our animals for this as well. We've got these cute, neat little vests, Adopt Me, and little T-shirts that also say Adopt Me, so that our dogs would stand out at this event and letting people know that they are up and for adoption and are available for adoption. And we would, of course, also encourage the community to bring their own dogs to this walkathon event. Concerning how the funds would be raised, they would come primarily from sponsorships. We have local businesses and individuals who are interested in participating. It would also come, of course, from the participants, the walkers, as they get their individual sponsors, and also from boxed lunch sales and then just outright donations. So to conclude, we feel this would be an awesome fundraiser for our animals in need within the community, and also a wonderful opportunity for our community to come together at a special place, the Bark Park, for a special occasion, the Mutt Strut, for some good old-fashioned family fun. Anyway, thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you. And please make sure you forward me the information on those events. Okay?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, Darlene Johnson.
Good evening, Chairman,
Good evening.
Commissioners. Can I take this off?
Yes.
Darlene Johnson, unincorporated, Clayton County, Rex, Georgia. I actually came tonight, Chairman, to talk about the code of conduct that you all tried to pass and it was voted down. I know that came about because of the code of one of our commissioners towards a regular citizen who is an outstanding citizen who sits on the board. And so I know that that's how it came about. And I'm disappointed that it was voted down, when I think that what needs to happen is that maybe you guys can sit down, rewrite it to where it's acceptable and agreeable for everyone, but there needs to be a code of conduct in place for the commissioners, because as Commissioner Gregory said, well, when they vote us in, the citizens trust us. That has nothing to do with your code of conduct. And if being reelected, you believe, is how the citizens are saying that your code of conduct is okay, that's then you're sadly mistaken, because it's not okay. And for commissioners not to be able to be held accountable for some of the things that we've seen is unacceptable. So I would like to see that effort being put forward to rewrite that and to reinstate that code of ethics and that code of behavior for our commissioners, because as you stated, we're all being held accountable for everything that we do. And our Commissioner Franklin, that is one of her biggest things, is that her constituents hold her accountable. And she's accountable to them, and so she works for them. And I think that needs to be the rule all the way throughout. And I just wanted to state that I was very disappointed that bill was, resolution was voted down, and that is unacceptable. Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. All right, Madam Clerk, I think we've ran out of time for our public comment period. There are 2 names left on this sheet here. It's Rose Jackson and Brenda Harrison. You will be first on the next, at the next meeting for public comment. And I appreciate everybody's comments. Madam Clerk.
The board will now entertain the consent agenda items.
All right, is there a motion to approve? I am going to make the motion with one correction on item 6, the recommendation for award RFP 1511. The funding source is actually the, I think it's 6, let's see here. Is actually the 2020 SPLOS and not the 2015 SPLOS.
Item number 6.
That's correct.
Chairman, I think that's 2021.
Oh, 2021, I'm sorry. 2021 SPLOS, and not the 2015. All right, is there a second?
Second.
Any questions on any of the items? Hearing none, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I'm sorry, I was trying to unmute. Yes. I had a question. The 20, you said, what, could you repeat that, please, Mr. Chairman? I apologize.
The funding source is 2021 SPLOST and not 2015 on item 6.
Can you read it for the audience, if you don't mind? Do we have in a record, please, for us?
Well, I already said it was on recommendation from the award 15-11 Architectural Engineering and Design Services for Clayton County's Administration Building.
Okay, I apologize to anyone else. Thank you so much.
Call for a vote again. Those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous.
Item number 19 and 20 are board appointments.
First board appointment is to the Veterans Advisory Board. Mr. Ralph Zellum has resigned from the Veterans Advisory Board. The next appointment will begin immediately and will expire June 16th, 2024. Commissioner Davis, you have a recommendation for us.
Yes, I want to go ahead and hold that appointment until the next meeting, which is, when's our next meeting? Let's see. What would that be? April the 6th? Yes, until April 6th.
Madam Clerk, hold till next meeting, April 6th. Next board appointments, Development Authority is a large appointment. Appointment is to fill the unexpired term of Helen McSwain on the Development Authority Board. Appointment will begin immediately and will expire July 2nd, 2023. Any recommendations?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to recommend Ms. Michelle Fuqua.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Properly moved in second. Any questions? Hearing none. Those in favor, aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
The next items are public hearings. Before we go into that, I need to read the citizens may speak for or against an item that is considered by law to be a zoning decision, and each side will have 10 minutes to present its case. In the event there's more than one speaker per side, speakers must divide their time in order to complete their full presentation within the 10-minute time allotment. When the time runs out, speakers are expected to immediately cease speaking. Applicants or citizens speaking in favor of an item shall speak first. Applicants in zoning ordinance cases shall have the right to reserve time for rebuttal. Opponents of a zoning decision item shall have no right of rebuttal. When speaking, speak directly into the microphone by stating your name, address, or name of an organization you represent. Abusive, profane language will not be permitted. Clapping, yelling, and showing support will not be permitted, but a show of hands or standing quietly will. Our first item is item number 21, BOC 2003-0046, requesting to rezone RS-180 to PUD.
Sounding the first case, the applicant Heck Walker, PC, on the behalf of Chandrell Patel, is requesting to rezone 11.52 acres of land from RS-180 single-family residential to PUD planned unit development to allow for an amended 34-lot single-family residential subdivision. These would be fee simple lots. The property is located at the intersection of County Line Road and Plantation Way. The parcel ID number to the property is identified on the agenda. The staff recommendation is for approval with conditions. The zoning advisory group recommendation is for denial. This recommendation was put forth on September 3rd, 2020. There are six conditions recommended by staff that we do have presented to you on the overhead. These 6 conditions, on the modifications to these conditions, is that the recent site plan has dropped a lot, so it's now 34 single-family lots. And condition number 6 referenced that they will comply with the requirements of the Panhandle Overlay architectural standards, not the development standards, but just the architectural requirements of the Panhandle Overlay in order to maintain architectural consistency in that part of the county. I'll be happy to address any of the conditions, other conditions if you see fit after the presentation or now.
All right, let's wait till we hear from the applicant.
Okay.
The applicant.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. John Jordan with Hecht Walker, PC, 205 Corporate Center Drive.
Sir, before we start, would you like to reserve any minutes for a rebuttal?
I would. 8 minutes, please.
8 minutes for a rebuttal?
Oh, sorry, 2 minutes.
2 minutes for a rebuttal?
Yes.
All right, start the clock at 8.
And before I start, I do have some packets I'd like to hand
Sure.
out to the board, if I may.
Officer. Just give me all.
I represent the owner of this property, Mr. Patel, who's looking to develop the property into a small, single-family residential subdivision. Mr. Patel is with us here tonight, as well as his business partner, Shai Shalindra. This property is an 11.52 acre parcel of undeveloped land off of County Line Road right next to the River's Edge community. The property used to be zoned for plan use, for commercial use, along with the old original plan use development for River's Edge. It's currently zoned RS 180 for residential use. My client's looking to develop the property into a 34-lot, single-family residential development, and is requesting to be able to rezone the property to a plan use development for 34 single-family lots. We're in need of the rezoning due to the smaller lot size of the planned properties, but in exchange for that, we're actually exchanging it for larger actual houses than what's required under the current RS 180. We're also opening up to additional oversight by the county with the plan unit development, including the enhanced architectural standards that staff has recommended to apply to it. They don't apply to any other of the 1,200 lots in the River's Edge subdivision, so we would be unique with those enhanced standards. We've also set aside 27% of the property for open space, and that open space is along the edges next to the current existing residential, which will provide a natural buffer to the existing residences and Plantation Parkway. This project of 34 lots will be consistent with the future land use plan. The future land use designation is currently low-density residential, and what that is it allows for 2 to 4 dwelling units per acre in this area. We're at just under 3. Actually, it's 2.95 units per acre to be exact. So we are consistent with what's been planned here by the county. The development would be ideal for young professionals and seniors who are looking for a single-family home option to be able to purchase that without a large yard to have to maintain, which is actually becoming more and more in demand in the metro area. It would also serve as a good transition between the commercial shopping center to the south of the property, which was another part of the commercial area for the original PUD, and then the existing residential area at River's Edge. The current proposed development is a product of actually more than a year of working with the county, reaching out and working with the county and the residents to try to come up with a mutually acceptable development. Along the way, we've gained some good feedback, questions, and concerns from the residents, and have modified the plans several times to try to accommodate those concerns more and more. This project actually started out as a townhome project. My client wanted to build 68 townhomes on this property, and at the very beginning, he met with Commissioner Franklin. He met with Community Development Director, Mr. Ejike, as well as the HOA President, Larry Vincent, for River's Edge, and they discussed the proposed development for townhomes. They also discussed their concern with townhomes being at this property, which my client understood, and he went back to the drawing board and figured out a way he could do a small single-family residential subdivision with 39 units at the time. After listening to additional concerns along the way in the zoning process, my client had agreed to scale down. These were concerns by the residents through community meetings and the like. My client agreed to scale down the project even further to 35 lots. And he also agreed to stipulate to a minimum house size of 2,200 square feet for 2 stories and 2,000 square feet for 1-story houses, which again are more than what the existing zoning requires, and agreed to put a 6-foot privacy fence along the recreation area there that is adjacent to the neighbors in the back for additional buffering. As you can see, with the current development, we've even reduced the proposal now down to 34 lots, which allowed us to have greater setbacks and space between houses, as well as enlarge the lot size somewhat themselves. The lot sizes would average between 7,000 and 8,000 square feet, going all the way up to 12,162 square feet. Again, 27% of the property would be open space for a buffer against the adjacent properties. The prices are anticipated to be about $110 per square foot, which would bring them to the mid-twos. We're not looking at $180,000 houses here. On the screen here, we have renderings of some ideas of what we would like the houses to look like. Again, these are going to include enhanced architectural features, so there'll be enhancements onto this as well. Most of the houses will be 2-story, but there will be some 1-story houses available for senior residents in the community as well. All houses would have 2-car garages with rear and side entry for at least the corner lots. The materials for the houses would be at least 70% brick, stone, stucco, or masonry for the front, and at least 30% of those materials would be on the sides and the back. This project is consistent with the layout of the rest of the Rivers Edge community as a whole, which consists of small, medium, and large size homes. You got 1,200 homes in there that have all come in at different times. So you do have a mixture. And in my handout, I did provide a summary ledger showing the house sizes and the 2020 tax assessor values for 129 lots, just picked from across the segments of the Rivers Edge community, which shows that mixture of houses. I also have, and I know it's a summary, so I did bring a binder here with me that does have the actual tax assessor cards, and I'll leave this for the clerk later in case anybody would like to look at it. So those numbers are directly from the tax assessor's site. This development will fall around the middle range of those houses. To give you an example, across Plantation Parkway is at least 29 houses that are smaller than the minimum of what we're planning. So we're not talking about smaller houses tucked way back, even though there are other smaller houses tucked way back. We're talking about across the street. And to give you an idea, we're talking about right here. 29 houses are smaller.
Okay. Well, with that being said, sir, your time is up.
Okay. And
So,
I'll reserve the rest for rebuttal, and
okay.
I appreciate
Will
it.
do. Now, we don't have time for anybody who would like to speak in favor of the request. So at this time, anybody would like to speak in opposition to, come forward. One at a time, please, one at a time. I'll take this young lady in the red first, please.
Chairman Turner, my name is Rose Jackson, and I've been a resident of this community for 20 years and living in Rivers Edge. At one time, Rivers Edge was one of the premier communities in our county, and now I feel it's been besieged by people who don't care about our community. We are surrounded by houses in Fayette County of $300,000 and more. It's taken 20 years, and now my property has gone up $50,000. I'm very happy about that. I know you all don't care about that, but that's important. The other thing is that the ZAG last year, because the community kept coming to these meetings saying that they finally concurred with us on September 3rd that they denied the application. Yet, today, they are approving it, and I'm concerned about that. It's dragged on for so long. that lots of our community members are not here. And that's a tactic, that's a strategy. Let me make it very plain. These are smaller houses. My house is 2,800 square feet. He's talking about putting 2,000 square feet houses. He's a lie talking about Plantation Parkway has little bitty houses. When I went to the meetings, he talked about Harbor Town. Those are houses in the very back. We're talking about in the very front of our community, putting these little bitty houses. I have no problem with it being his property and he can build houses. I just ask that he build larger houses to complement what we currently have in the front of our properties and decrease the quantity. This is not Gwinnett County, I know that. We're not even Fayette County, but we're Clayton County and we have power. We have the most black women in the country in government. And when I came here 20 years ago, I didn't see all these faces. I ask you to stand up for us now. Please, don't let us continually be assaulted by people who live other places that care about money more than our futures and what we have put into our community to try to save it. Like Matt mentioned, those kids, if kids move into that neighborhood, they're going to have to walk down North Bridge. There are no sidewalks. There are other issues here besides money. And what these people say.
Ma'am, talk to us, please.
Again, my issue is the size of the houses and the quantity. 6 minutes to go.
Other people can come unless you
Okay,
would like to
thank
take up.
you.
Okay.
Good evening, Chairman. Vanessa Ennis, Rivers Edge, 23 years. I'd just like to say that I attended the meetings as well, and the applicant has not presented their sustainable goals. They were asked to present that this summer. I've yet to hear that. I'd also like to add that the homes are not harmonious, the elevation, the spaces, the amenities, etc. I also like to add that according to the Panhandle overlay, 40% of those homes should have side entry garages. If you look at 34 homes on less than 12 acres, that's not gonna happen. They're moving next to a swim tennis community and their amenities that they're presenting is a gazebo, not harmonious. I also like to add that they're presenting prices, elevation, amenities, sidewalks, etc. Who in the county is gonna ensure that they adhere to that because they have that property for sale? The developer is presenting that, but that property is currently for sale. So who's going to ensure that they adhere to the things that they presented? And I'll leave some time for someone else. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else like to speak? Yes, sir.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Lou Missouri, 42-year resident of County Line Road. And there's a couple of items that are on here that are kind of questionable. Number 4 is the cut into County Line Road being approved by the county transportation. Has that been done? Number 5, the vegetative screen between the development and County Line Road to be continuous with the rest of Rivers Edge north of this area. Are they planning on just putting in 1 or 2 token shrubs, or are we going to leave the current vegetation to match up with Plantation Parkway North? So I have to question in your votes and hoping that you reject it. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am in the back. Yes.
Hello, my name is Jody Chambers, and I've been a resident of Rivers Edge for 23 years. In 7 more years, I'll own my property. And I'm just floored by 23 years that we're getting ready to put, 40 houses on 5 acres of land? That's what it appears to be. I haven't heard him say anything, the attorney, anything new that we've continuously went to meetings several times. He continuously says the same thing, other than the fact that they're building single houses now. The reason why zoning had denied them to have the houses is based on the Clayton Forward Comprehensive Plan. He has not done any of those things that land use requires to ensure the quality of new development. He has not represented that, to encourage well-coordinated development. He hasn't encouraged that either. To improve quality of life for residents. He has not proved there's gonna be quality of life. I have grandchildren. There's no sidewalks, just like he was saying about the schools. The kids are gonna be walking to school. It's dangerous, traffic and all of that. And also to encourage sustainability development practices. I don't see any of those things that he's talking about. So I don't think this is a great plan for our community. Like I said, I've been there 23 years, and when I retired, I was planning on having some money. And it looks like I'm not gonna have as much as I thought I would have with these houses being built. So I'm not gonna approve that. Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Garber?
you have to protect, Mickey Garber, unincorporated Rex, Georgia. You have to protect the people who are here now. If other people want to come in and build, let them build equal to them for them to welcome a new building. They're up here wanting to deny it for the reason of you're robbing them of their wealth. You're on a race to the bottom. Rebranding or not, you're on a race to the bottom. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, sir, your rebuttal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I completely understand anytime you have a developer coming in to build new houses in an existing subdivision, you're going to have the exact same concerns, which are respectful. But sometimes they're just concerns. They don't actually mirror what's going to be put up there. For example, one of the questions was about not having a sidewalk. A sidewalk is not just planned, it's required all along County Line Road right there, and actually all along Plantation Parkway to meet up with the rest right there. So we have that. As far as the prices, you're looking at mid-twos. That's higher than a substantial amount of the values that's already in the Rivers Edge community. And again, you can find that on the ledger that I provided and in the tax records. These are going to be more valuable houses because of the enhanced architectural features and just property values going up in general. I know there's concern about the houses and the size of it. We've already accommodated going from 1,800 and 2,000 to 2,000, 2,200. I was just talking to my client now, and we'd even agree to stipulate to raise that to 2,400 square feet for 2 stories and 2,150 square feet for 1 story. That makes us even further towards the median sizes. This will be an asset to the property. I know it's scary, as it is scary for any resident seeing a new development coming in because they can't see the development as it's going up. But this will be a good project for the county. We've done a lot of changes of the site plan to accommodate the concerns as much as possible and to be able to actually sell the parcels. It does no good to develop it if you can't sell it. And we believe that this is a good compromise between the property rights of the citizens that are already there, as well as the property rights of my own client, who is a property owner there as well. So
All right, your
we
time
would,
is up, sir. I'm sorry.
we would just respectfully request
Excuse me.
the board approve.
Thank you. Commissioner Franklin. Commissioner Franklin,
Yes, I'm here.
you have a recommendation for us?
Yes, sir, I do. I make a recommendation that we deny this request and it remain as it is currently zoned, which is consistent with the property that is already there in River's Edge.
Is there a second?
Second.
Who's second the motion?
Second.
Commissioner Hambrick, second the motion. Any questions? Those in favor, aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Madam Clerk, next.
The next item is item number 22, which is PPLAT 2006-0013, is a preliminary plat. Preliminary plat approval for 35 single-family lots. I believe it's 34.
Mr. Chair, do we have to hear this one? Because
Yes,
I
we
thought
do.
this was the companion one.
Yes, ma'am, we have to hear it.
Okay.
This is a board-related case, the related preliminary plat. Considering this is a planned unit development, the preliminary plat has to be approved with that action, or in this case, it has to be heard in conjunction with the PUD. The applicant, again, is Heck Walker, PC, on the behalf of Chandra Patel, and Putnam Patel is requesting a preliminary plat for a proposed 34 lots, single-family subdivision. The subject property is currently zoned RS 180. Again, is companion to the previous case we just heard for the PUD. Property located at County Line Road and Plantation Way, the parcel ID identified on your agenda. Again, staff recommendation was approval with 6 conditions, stated those modifications to those conditions, and the ZAG recommended denial of this application.
Applicant.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board again. I'll just incorporate my statements from the prior item. Just the only thing in addition to that, just to preserve the record, I just want to provide this on the record as well. And there is a constitutional notice that's part of the packets, just to preserve the record, but I do appreciate your time tonight.
Is there any need? Would you like to request any rebuttal?
I don't see any need.
Thank you, sir. Anybody like to speak in favor of this applicant's request? Anybody in favor? All right, seeing and hearing none. Anybody want to speak in opposition to?
I've got something to say.
Mr. Garber.
Mickey Garber, unincorporated Rex, Georgia. I'm here to offer a solution for both the opponents and the petitioner. Why not build a house equal to everything else around it? What's the difficulty here? Thank you.
Anybody else? Commissioner Franklin.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. I make a motion to deny the request.
I'll second the motion.
As is currently zoned constitutionally as RS 180, and it will remain that way, which again is consistent with the homes that are in the area. And then I also want to make a note that we know that there are homes right across the line that are being built with 1 house per acre. So definitely deny this one.
I'll second the motion. Any other questions, comments? Those in favor, aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Madam Clerk.
The next item is item number 23, BOC 2003-0045, request to rezone RS 180 to PUD.
Madam.
Yes, the item we're approaching is the applicant. It's Battle Law PC on the behalf of Blackstone Investments. is requesting to rezone 25.17 acres of land from RS 180 Single Family Residential to PUD Planned Unit Development for a proposed 100 units Single Family Attached Townhome Development. The project will be named The Towns at Flat Shows. The subject property is located at 1821 Creel Road, near the intersection of Creel Drive and West Fayetteville Road. Parcel ID is identified on the agenda. The staff recommendations for approval conditions. The staff has modified conditions from your agenda. The agenda is representing 6 conditions, but the conditions have now been modified to address 13 points. So there are 13 conditions being recommended with this application. The recommendation from the zoning advisory group was also approval conditional based on the original set of conditions.
All right, is the applicant present? Or is this Ms. Battle online? You would unmute her.
I am online, sorry about that. Michelle Battle, with Battle Law, 1 West Court Square, Decatur, Georgia, 30030. We are excited to be here today.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm sorry, Ms. Battle. Sorry to interrupt you, but do you want to hold any minutes for a rebuttal?
I probably can hold, 5 minutes for rebuttal.
Okay. You have the floor,
I get a
ma'am.
total of 10, correct?
Yes, total of 10. So you have, yes, a total of 10.
Okay, all right. If I could just ask staff to put up the most current site plan, that would be great, and then I can go from there. If you could hold my time until they put up the most recent site plan.
Reset the clock for 5 minutes.
Michelle, that's the last case, the last plan that was dated and submitted this past week.
Actually, we did submit, and it's referenced in your conditions. It's the one from the 24th, and that's not the one from the 24th because we showed additional parking spaces that have been requested. It was in the plan set earlier.
Right, we have addressed in the staff analysis that you provide a minimum number of visitor parking to accommodate the intent of the application.
Okay. All right. Good evening, Commissioners. Michelle Battle with Battle Law, 1 West Court Square, Decatur, Georgia, 30030. We've been working on this case for quite some time to try and address the issues that have been raised by the community. We originally started out with over 100 lots on this particular property. However, along with a land use change, we dropped the land use change and agreed to no more than 100 townhome units that would be built on this property. We believe that this is a suitable transition from the surrounding developments, including some that are zoned for multifamily development. We have adjusted ourselves with regards to adding additional areas for recreation, including the trail that you're seeing on the plan before you now. We've also added additional parking spaces. We actually on our plan show up to 51 parking spaces now. They're currently, on this plan, there are fewer than that, but we have added additional parking spaces adjacent to the trail area. We've also relocated the detention pond so that it is further away from the adjacent single-family subdivision. We have had multiple conversations with the community, and we provided additional conditions that we have agreed upon, which include the following. One that is conditioned on the most recent site plan submitted to staff on the 24th. We've also agreed to add no less than 34 additional parking spaces, but as indicated, the site plan that's referenced actually shows 51 parking spaces. We also agreed to facade materials to include a mixture of brick, hardy plank, and fiber shake and other fiber cementation siding. No vinyl will be used on the project. We've added additional access from West Fayetteville Road. We also have agreed to a mandatory HOA with no more than 10% of the units being rentals. And additionally, anyone who sought to rent their property would have to have actually occupied their property for over a year. We believe that that eliminates anyone who would be seeking to simply come onto the property as an investor to invest in units on the site. We are excited about this project. We believe that it will be a great addition to the community. We know that there's been a lot of discussion about it. In addition, there is also a right-of-way abandonment through the center of the property that hopefully will come through before you all at the next hearing. If it's not on tonight's agenda, I don't think it is. That will allow for that existing right-of-way that you see through the middle of it to be abandoned in order to allow for the project to move forward. Additionally, there was some information within the conditions regarding the cleanup of debris along the existing waterway. There's a stream that crosses, and the HOA will be responsible for removing all trash and debris within there. And prior to any final plat being developed, being recorded, we will also have to make sure that trash and debris is cleaned up. And we've also committed to working with the county to allow any type of proposed multi-use trail to come through the rear portion of the property where we have actually saved a tremendous amount of green space that will allow for that to be developed in the future if the county so desires. So with that, we would respectfully request approval of the application. We've worked hard, again, to address the issues raised by the community and to address the issues raised by Commissioner Hambrick. And again, we would ask for approval of the application.
All right, we've got a couple of seconds left. Anybody want to speak in favor of this applicant's request? Anybody like to speak in favor of it? All right, anybody would like to speak in opposition to? Anybody opposed? All right, Commissioner Hambrick.
Yes, I would like to ask Ms. Battle if they have gotten the approval from GDOT regarding that, the access from Highway 314.
GDOT has reviewed the plan and has indicated that we can have that access point, and it would be a right in, right out. And the final plans would be approved in connection with the submission of the full plan set to GDOT.
Okay, I would like that plan before a decision is made.
The plan has been approved. GDOT will never give a full approval because they have to actually have a land development permit before them. However, we have contacted them and they have provided notification that they are comfortable with the right in, right out and with the access point. And we did go back to them to verify that. And so there's no question that we will be able, and it's a condition that we have to be able to put that street in with the right in, right out. So if we can't put that in, we wouldn't be able to develop the project. So that's in the condition. That's actually a condition that we actually have to put that driveway in.
I need something from GDOT. So I will know that because there are quite a few residents that are, that's based on their approval of their acceptance of this project.
Right. Commissioner, again, only thing I can say is that, and I would hope that Ms. Spann will support this. Because it is a condition, if we don't meet the condition, we can't get our land development permit, so there would be no project. We have already proceeded with GDOT. Again, they won't give a formal approval until it goes through the process. That is their policy. So they did do a pre-review of this matter, and we provided, and may have even sent over some information about that. But again, there's no question that if we don't do it, we have no project. It's that simple. Either we put it in or land development will not give us a permit.
I did visit. I was offered an invitation at, I believe, at the community meeting about visiting another site that you all have in South Fulton County. I believe it said Union City, but I think it's just South Fulton. city of South Fulton,
Yes, ma'am.
and was not pleased with what I saw, especially in the entrance of that development. Around the back was fine. Now, in this development that you're planning for Creel and 314,
Yes, ma'am.
will all the townhomes have a garage?
Yes, ma'am. All of them will have a garage. Each will have one garage with 2 parking pads in the front.
Okay, now, what I also noticed with them is that the parking pads, some were wider than others. Can you all give us some kind of measurements that will fit 2 cars comfortably, where people can open and close doors and all? It won't be a squeeze in. I don't know what those measurements would be.
Okay.
Because there were varying sizes at the location I visited.
We certainly can agree that the parking pad will fit. I think it's already stated in the conditions that it will fit 2 cars, and that the cars cannot overhang into the right-of-way.
I need something a little bit more specific. 2 cars can fit, yes.
The
But
2
cars.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
2
sorry.
cars can fit, but the difference is 2 cars fitting where you can open and close the door without having to squeeze in and out. And I saw that happening in the other project that you all have in South Fulton.
I'm getting a width for you right now. Each car is, let's see. And we have our engineer is also on the line, but he's texting me because he can't speak.
But I'm sure they have to be aware of what I'm talking about.
He is. He's giving me the width. I'm just trying to make sure I got the right information.
A standard parking width. A standard parking width is about 10 feet wide, so a parking space a line drawn parking space could be easily 10 by 20.
So the total width, standard car is 8 feet wide on the total width of a car. So we were looking at 16 feet in width. If you want to increase that, maybe to 18. I think the total unit width,
What was that information that Madeline was giving?
The standard width for a parking aisle that's striped is generally 10 feet wide and 18 feet long, or 20 feet long. So 10 by 20 will be the measurements for a parking space. So if we wanted 2 cars parked side by side, 20 feet would accommodate 2 cars. As she said, Ms. Battle stated the cars were 8 feet wide, so that's 16 from 20. That leaves us 4 feet.
Right. So the units are actually 20 feet wide. So that means that there wouldn't be any grass between. So we still want to have that grass between the units. And so based on that, we would ask that it be at the 16 feet. The units that you saw over on Creel Walk were also 20 feet wide as well.
Okay, 16 or 20?
The unit itself is 20 feet wide.
Okay. Okay, I need, because like I said, because it did vary. I saw 3 different sizes as far as the width was concerned. The length seemed to have been okay, since you're just going to have the 2 cars side by side, but I was not pleased with the width on some of those.
Right. So the intent here was to have 16 feet with 4 feet of grass in between each unit. If you wanted to increase that, I guess, to 18 feet, we could certainly do 18 feet, but we still wanted to have that grass strip in between. Otherwise, it's just one long.
Okay, or if they could just give me what the width is for the widest that they have at that project off of Creel Road in South Fulton. One other thing while we work on that. One other big thing I saw. Who will have control of the roads in there?
Those are all public streets.
Okay. No, because I saw the streets were not kept up. I was dodging potholes.
In this subdivision, oh, you're talking about in the other one. I believe those are private. In this one, all of the streets are public streets. So that the HOA will not be responsible for maintaining those streets. It will be the county's responsibility.
Okay. Okay, I'm just going over my notes here. Okay, has anybody been in touch with the Board of Education?
I believe the county, the planning department normally is in touch with the Board of Education. I'm not sure.
We do provide them with advisory, but we have not received any comments from the Board of Education regarding this project.
Okay, because I like for them to be knowledgeable of whatever I'm doing in this area, or to work with whoever the builders and owners and all that are. Have a working relationship.
Right. I can tell you that this project is not intended to be marketed as a family-oriented community. While we do have open space and play areas, it's really intended to be for empty nesters, for young professionals. That is the market that we are looking for. And so we don't anticipate that this is going to be a community that will be heavily children-oriented. But I understand the desire to make sure that there's no issue there. But again, it was our understanding that staff had reached out to them.
Okay, I think I'm missing something. Is this sewer or septic?
It's sewer.
Okay, and who forms the homeowners association? Who's responsible for that?
Yep, we will form the HOA. The builder forms the HOA, and then all of the documentation, because of the requirements that it contains certain language, will have to be submitted to land development before before the final plat is recorded, because that has to be of record prior to the final plat being recorded. So they have to get a copy of that.
Okay, and I believe
To verify that we have met all the requirements under the zoning conditions.
okay, I know there were some changes and additions in the conditions rather, and one was no parking on the street.
That's correct.
Okay, who will? How will that be enforced? Is that going to be in something with the homeowners? Maybe rules or regulations or whatever? Because I'm thinking since it's a public street that the police can enforce that, but I'm sure they would want something to say, because right now parking on the street is not illegal, I don't think, in some of these neighborhoods. But I really would like to have something for the police to say, hey, you can't park. This is against the HOA. I'm sorry, somebody saying something?
I was going to say that there is a no parking, condition number 5 says no parking shall be permitted along the interior streets, and we will be posting no parking signs along those streets. That could be added as a condition. We can add that right now, that to condition number 13, that there will be a condition 13D, that the HOA will have in its covenants no parking requirement. We can just add that as part of the conditions, so that way it's known to the community and enforceable by them as well.
Okay, and notice you said that the retention pond had been relocated?
Yes.
Okay, is it elevated, or what area is that retention pond?
The detention pond is shown on the site plan. It's the same one that we had shown previously at the last meeting that we had, and I can't control anything that's on the screen right now, so I can't show you anything, but If you recall, the detention pond had been closer to the boundary line of the adjacent community, and it has been since moved over so that it has actually moved closer to West Fayette, and it is out of the stream buffer.
Okay, that was gonna be, because I talked with Water Authority, and I know we are having some problems now with flooding and all, and I was told that it needed to be elevated up from that pond that runs in the back of this project.
Yes, and so we have met with TRC, and we are addressing and all issues that, not issues, but through the land development process, we will have to provide them with our hydrology study, which is a part of the requirements, and we will have to show that we are adequately maintaining the stormwater runoff from the project and that the pond is built with the county specifications.
Okay. Okay, with all this being said, Ms. Battle, again, I need to speak with GDOT or someone from the county to make sure that that access from 314, if they are agreeing with that. And I have gotten other concerns from other citizens and all. So I'm really not prepared, and I hope that maybe you're prepared to put this off. I'm not prepared to make a decision tonight.
Okay. Then I guess we won't be making a decision tonight.
No.
So you're willing to accept the commissioner's recommendation to hold it until the next zoning hearing date, which is what day is it, ma'am?
That's the 20th, April 20th.
Yes, April 20th is the next zoning hearing.
Would you like to make a motion, Commissioner Hambert?
Yes. I move that this project or this zoning, this rezoning, be put off till the second meeting, regular business meeting for the Clayton County Board of Commissioners for April 20th.
All right. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Gregory second the motion. Any questions? Madeline, you have?
Just clarification, would this be for decision only or public hearing?
We already had a public hearing on it. It'd be decision only.
Thank you.
All right. Those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed?
Mr.
It's
Chair.
unanimous.
Did Michelle agree to that?
Yes, she did.
Okay.
Madam Clerk.
The next item is LS 2006-009, which is preliminary plat for the question of preliminary plat for a new 100-unit single-family attached townhome community.
Sounding the related case to the requested PUD, the preliminary plat application, Battle Law PC on the behalf of Blackstone Investment Company is requesting a new 100-unit single-family attached townhome community on 25.17 acres of land that's currently zoned RS 180 and being proposed for rezoning to PUD. The subject property is located at 1821 Creel Drive. Parcel ID numbers identified on the agenda. The recommended conditions that were addressed under the previous case, there were 13 recommended conditions. Staff moved forward those 13 recommended conditions along with their recommendation for approval. And the zoning advisory group recommendation was for approval as well. The site plan reference and the preliminary plat layout referenced by the applicant has been the latest one, is available on the screen.
All right, so Ms. Battle.
Yes,
Would you
I have
like
no
to?
problem.
Would you
I
like
have no
for us to?
I would ask for this to be deferred with the other project. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Hambert.
Yes, I would make a motion that this request be deferred to until April 20th.
6th.
That's correct.
26th or 20th? All right, is there a second? I'll second the motion. Any questions? Hearing none. Those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous.
Mr.
Madam
Chair,
Clerk.
just to make it clear that this is for public hearing.
Yeah, this one will have to have a public hearing.
Correct.
First one does not.
Could we have the public hearing today so we don't have to do that the next
We
time?
already took a vote, ma'am. We should have done it, but, so yes,
No
we've
problem.
already voted. Thank you, though.
The next item is BOC 2010-0064, CUP to allow food pantry and clothing donation center.
The applicant, Pastor Diane Collins, on behalf of Faith Walk Ministries, Inc., is requesting a conditional use permit for property located at 6109 Riverdale Road, further known as a parcel ID number that's identified on your plat. The property is 0.89 acres in size, currently zoned general business. The requested use of the property is for a food pantry and clothing donation center in association with the existing church, which is located across from the property. Staff recommendation is approval conditional with the conditions that's referenced on the agenda. The ZAG recommendation also was for approval conditional.
All right, applicant.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Would you like to reserve any minutes in rebuttal? Should
It's
somebody
not going to be long.
No, yes, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Okay.
2 minutes.
Reserve 2 minutes for a rebuttal. Go ahead, ma'am, state
All
your
right.
name for
My
us.
name is Diane Collins, and I reside in DeKalb County. I've pastored in the Clayton County area for 29 years, and I am here representing our church, Faith Walk Ministries. We are trying to get a conditional use permit for a food pantry and clothing donation center. And when we were here last in January, there were some facade improvements that the commissioners wanted us to make. And those improvements were removal of the existing black awnings on the building, the removal of the existing canopy, the removal of the black burglar bars, and the removal of the disconnected and unused light poles on the site. And we also agreed to stucco the building and paint it as well after all of those things had been removed. So that was January. So at the end of January, we knew we needed to secure a contractor. So we went after a contractor, and the first bid we got was $150,000 to make those improvements. We said that's out of our league. So the second bid was $85,000. That was a little better. And so I said, okay, what's next? So we got the permits to do the demolition of the canopy and all of those things that needed to be torn down. But I said, let's hold up. Let's not do any demolitions right now until we get our funding in order. So we pursued funding, and a lot of the lenders did not want to touch us because they said there was no collateral. They said, so we can't give you $85,000 without collateral. I said, oh my God, what are we gonna do now? And so we finally found a lender who said they would lend us enough money to pay the building off as well as do the renovations. But they needed an appraisal. So we had to find an appraisal. So we've been busy. And so we finally got it appraised. And then the lender said, we need to see all of your financials and make sure this is really going to be a good fit for us. So that's where we are right now. So what I'm asking is for the commissioners to give us a little more time so that we can secure the financing we need to get this done. The contractors have already said, we don't need but 2 weeks to do what we do. So if you get this funding, then we are ready to go to work. They wanted to bring the dumpster out and start tearing the place, that whole front part down. I said, no, we gotta wait. It's gotta be appraised, and we gotta make sure we have the funding. So I am respectfully requesting that the commissioners would give us until May 18th to get this done.
Commissioner Hambrick?
Okay, yes. Hi, Pastor Collins.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Good, good. Thank you so much for, agreeing to upgrade this, because that's what we're doing. We're working on all the areas in the county, and particularly Riverdale Road is one of those. And this would definitely help and help and make it look like your church does.
Yes.
You know, so thank you for going out doing this. And Chairman, I make a motion that we defer this for the pastor and her congregation. You said the 18th, May 18th, is that the date?
Is that correct,
Yes,
madam?
that's correct. May 18th would be the.
Oh, okay, until May 18th.
All right, she made the motion, May 18th, defer it. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any questions?
And that's public hearing or decision only?
Is that what now?
Is that public hearing or for decision only?
No, we haven't had public hearing, so it will have to be both at that time.
Thank you, thank you.
Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Thank you.
And the reason why we would need to, I would prefer to wait on public hearing simply because once it's finished, the public will want to chime in whether they're opposed or not, once they see the finished product.
Yes.
So, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item is item number 26, BOC 2012-0076, which is the FLUP.
The applicant, Sarah Shirk, on behalf of LNC Partnership, is requesting to amend the land use map designation from GC General Commercial to MDR, Medium Density Residential, the property located at 2270 Rex Road, located in Morrow, Georgia. This property is proposed for a new 42-unit, single-family attached townhome development under the planned unit development zoning. The subject property is currently zoned GB on 5.37 acres of land. Parcel ID number is identified on the agenda. The planning staff has recommended approval with 9 conditions. The zoning advisory group has recommended approval with 11 conditions. They added 2 conditions to the staff recommended conditions.
All right, that's the applicant. Come forth.
Chairman, Mr. Commissioners, 2 minutes for rebuttal, if I may.
2 minutes for rebuttal.
Thank you. Stephen Jones, on behalf of the landowner LNC Partnership LLP. I'm accompanied today by Mr. Clayton Wall, who is the seed LNC Partnership. He, his family, and their related entities have been in the community developing and building houses since the early 70s. If I may approach, I have a packet of information to give to the clerk. It's all on flash drive for her ease as well.
Give that to her.
And paper format, whichever she prefers. In that information, and also on the screen the staff has put up, you will see a site plan proposed or typical elevations and renderings of the townhomes to be built. This request, you have 3 companion requests before you. You have an FLUP request, a PUD request, and a preliminary plat request. They all ask for the same thing. 42 townhomes on the subject property. This property is just north of Morrow High School at the intersection of Rex and Rex-Morrow Road. Your staff reviewed the request and found that the exclusive factors for rezoning set forth in the zoning ordinance supported approval. Recommended approval on all of these with 9 conditions. We consented to all of those. ZAG considered those. We had quite a few meetings with ZAG, and it was productive. We tendered a market analysis study to ZAG, which the clerk has on that flash drive. It's quite voluminous, but we believe it shows, and we think ZAG agreed with us that it shows that our townhomes, which will come in around the 230 mark, is at the height of the market for that area. And so we're very happy with the request. Again, LNC Partnership has had this property and other properties in the county for a long time, and we're very happy to do what we think is a quality development here. These are going to be 24-foot wide. There's 11 conditions attached, which really address the aesthetics. We've also incorporated into this, and you'll see on the site plan, a community garden. That developed through the ZAG meetings and meetings with the district commissioner, and we think that that's a unique feature that will be utilized by the community as a source of sustainable and locally grown food. So the conditions attached and the proposed conditions as proposed by staff and modified by ZAG. No more than 42 pursuant to the site plan. 1 curb cut on Rex Road, 1 curb cut on Old Rex Road. Decorative fencing along both frontages. an HOA to be developed, a minimum house size of 1,600 square feet, no more than 10% shall be rentals. Then lots fronting on Rex will be frontward facing, kind of like this, to give a brownstone look. Of course, there'll still be envision it with the fence and on an external street, not the internal street. Vinyl only used in eaves and soffits. The construction materials will be like this, but in that it's a combination of the following: brick, stone, fibrous concrete board, which is hardy plank, for example, or stucco. Finally, 2-car garage on every unit, and a minimum of 10% of the parking shall be provided in the common areas. Then ZAG added 2 more conditions to which we consented, and we also think it will create a quality development here. 5-foot sidewalks to be installed along the frontage at ingress and internal to the site. And then finally, the final site development plan and design to be approved by the zoning administrator prior to issuance of an LDP. Just as background, again, LNC's had this property for decades. Zone GB. Given the location and the educational uses around it, it's just not conducive to a GB. Like I said, LNC has been has been holding this property for a long time. We think that a productive use of this property is development with residential. It's in a transitional area. We're transitioning to that. So with that, we ask that you follow your staff's recommendation, your ZAG's recommendation, and approve with the 11 conditions recommended by staff as modified by ZAG. And with that, I'll yield my 3 minutes to answer any questions that the chairman and the commissioners may have. And again, thank you for the opportunity to appear before you.
Well, we need to go into a public hearing. They will have an opportunity to ask any questions that they have. But at this time, is there anybody who would like to speak in favor of applicant's request? Anybody in favor?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Garber.
Mickey Garber, unincorporated, Rex, Georgia. Everything that council has mentioned is correct. It is a transitional area from residential to heavy industrial. This will allow a buffer for those established homeowners who live there now. And I believe this is the best of all evils. And with that, I recommend approval. Thank you.
Anyone else like?
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Without growth, we remain stagnant. So this represents growth.
Anyone else like to speak in favor? Anyone like to speak in opposition? Anybody in opposition? Sir, if you would like to utilize your 2 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman. And I failed to state on the record, I'm with the law firm of Bovis, Kyle, Birch, and Medlin. Our address is 200 Ashford Center North, Suite 500, Atlanta, Georgia, 30338.
Commissioner Gregory.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, I do believe this small conclave of just 42 lots is going to be a good gateway as we start thinking about the gateway to Clayton State and kind of sprucing up that area up there. And I think this is a good start. So with that, I'd offer a motion to approve this petition with the recommended items from ZAG.
So, Commissioner.
Second.
Hold on a second, Commissioner Franklin. The motion's been made, but I would like for Ms. Pham to read the conditions.
Okay. All right.
Yes, I'd like to read the conditions into the record. The conditions are stand on your agenda, except for I'll make one notation on condition number 8. The First condition is the development shall consist of not more than 42 single-family attached townhomes, subject to the preliminary plat submitted. The date is October 8th, 2020. Provide one curb cut on Rex Road and one on Old Rex Road, subject to the approval of Transportation and Development. Number 3, decorative fencing shall be installed along the property's road frontage on Old Rex Road and Rex Road. Condition number 4, a homeowners association shall be established for the proposed development for the purpose of providing maintenance of common areas and covenants regulating the uses and structures. Condition number 5, all homes shall be a minimum unit house size of 1,600 square feet for the townhomes unit size, and not more than 10% of the units shall be for rental. Condition number 6, lots that abut the public right-of-way of Rex Road shall have a building facade with the appearance of a front entrance. Condition number 7, vinyl shall only be permitted to be used in eaves and soffits. Condition number 8, it's a modified condition. I'll be striking the last sentence, which is a notation. The condition number 8 reads, all homes shall have a mixture of 2 of the following architectural materials on the front facade: brick, stone, fibrous concrete, board, or hardy plank, or stucco would be the materials permitted in combination along the building's front. Condition number 9, all homes shall have a 2-car garage, and a minimum of 10% of parking shall be provided for guest parking in common areas. 2 conditions added by ZAG. Now, condition number 10, the site must include a 5-foot sidewalk to be installed along the property frontage at the point where at ingress and internal to the development, subject to the approval by Transportation and Development. Condition number 11, final site development plans and designs to be approved by the zoning administrator prior to the issuance of the land disturbance permit. That's the 11 recommended conditions.
And sir, just to reconfirm, the applicant is in agreement with all conditions.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, is there a second to the motion? I'll second the motion.
Second. Hambrick, second.
Okay, Commissioner Hambrick, second. Any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Commissioners, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Madam Clerk. Thank you.
Okay, the next item is BOC 2010-0069, CUP rezone GP to PUD.
The applicant, Sarah Shirk, on behalf of LNC Partnership, is requesting a preliminary plat to subdivide the property located at 2270 Rex Road to subdivide into 42 single-family attached townhome units. The subject property is currently zoned general business, and the rezoning is for PUD for 5.37 acres of land. The parcel ID is identified on your agenda. This is a related case to the case sounded earlier. The case has the same 11 conditions recommended by staff, with 2 of those 11 conditions added by the zoning advisory group. They're the same conditions that were read into the record on the previous request, and this stands with staff recommendation for approval and the ZAG recommendation for approval.
Chairman, Commissioner Stephen Jones again will stand on our comments on the previous application. Ask that you approve with all recommended conditions as modified by ZAG. Again, thank you.
Anybody like to speak in favor of applicant's request? Anybody in favor? Anybody opposed? Hearing none, Commissioner Gregory.
Again, Mr. Chair, I offer a motion to approve.
Second.
With conditions, correct?
I'm sorry, yes, with the conditions as read.
And approved or agreed upon by the applicant. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hambrick. Any questions? Those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? It's unanimous.
This
Item number 28 is PPLAT 2012-0015, the plat to approve of 42 single-family attached townhomes.
I'll read into the record this third related case to the previous case. This is to grant the rezoning of the property to a PUD for the 42 single-family attached townhomes Again, the property located on 2270 Rex Road, the same parcel ID number identified on the agenda. This recommendation comes with 11 recommended conditions, 9 of which were recommended by staff and 2 additional conditions by the zoning advisory group.
Applicant.
Chairman, Commissioners, same statement. We'll incorporate all of our comments previously. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody like to speak in favor of? Anybody in favor of? Anybody in opposition? Hearing and seeing none, Commissioner Gregory.
Once again, sir, I offer a motion to approve the petition.
Second.
With the
With stipulations or conditions, right? Do we have conditions on this?
Right, there are 11 conditions.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Gregory. Restate your motion again.
Sure, yes. I offer a motion to approve the petition with the 11 recommended conditions from ZAG and the staff.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Probably moved in second. Any questions? Hearing none, those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous.
The next item is item number 29, which is BOC 2101-0078, CUP to allow convenience store with gasoline services.
The applicant, Silva Consulting, is requesting a conditional use permit in the general business district for a convenience store with gasoline services on 6.87 acres of land. The subject property is located at 2631 Rex Road and 2661 Mount Zion Road in Ellenwood, Georgia. The parcel ID number of 2 parcels are identified on the agenda. Staff recommendation is for approval with 6 conditions, and the zoning advisory group recommendation is for denial.
Applicant present. Please come forward, sir. You can utilize one of these mics, Mr. Reed, if you could make sure he can be heard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. My name is Terry Boomer. I represent Civil Consulting Engineers. I am at 211 East Main Street in Canton, Georgia. I'm a civil engineer and a project manager for the developer. And the property that I've read the conditions, I met with staff, and we have no opposition or pose no objections to the conditions presented.
Okay, would you like to reserve any of your minutes for rebuttal should somebody be against
I
you?
would, thank you.
How many?
Yes, please, thank you.
How many? How many minutes would you like to reserve?
5 will take care of it.
Okay, well, you're well under that now. So is anybody who would like to speak in favor of this petition? Anybody like to speak in favor? Okay, anybody opposed? Please come forward.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chair, Commissioners. I'm Drew Andrews, unincorporated Jonesboro. Driving here this evening from downtown, I had to drive down Terra Boulevard, just 3 miles on Blocker Road to get here, and I counted 11 gas stations within 3-mile radius, and that's just on Terra Boulevard. So I humbly ask that commissioners, if not done already, do a saturation study before making a decision on, continuing with the gas stations.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Come forward.
Greetings, Chairman, Vice Chair, the Board of Commissioners, elected officials, as well as appointed. I'm asking you this evening to deny the petitioner's request for an additional gas station in this area. As it was stated that we have we are saturated with gas stations in that particular area for the population. So I'm asking you this evening to deny the petitioner's request of an additional gas station in our area.
Can I get your name, please?
My apologies, Regina Deloach, unincorporated Rex.
Anybody else like to speak in opposition? Commissioner Gregory.
Yes, sir.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold
Mr.
on.
Chair, he had 5 minutes.
Oh, that's
remaining.
right. Sir, I'm sorry. You got 5 minutes for your rebuttal.
Excuse me.
Thanks for looking out for me. I appreciate it. And all I can say to the perceived saturation of convenience stores that the members in opposition spoke of is sometimes obsolete gas stations are a blight, and the gas station proposed by the developer, if you will look through the renderings and the elevations and the site plans that we presented, our new upscale modern convenience store with a full inside menu, if you will. You can get the pizza, you can get the sandwiches, but you can get convenience store products for the household as well. The grounds will be professionally maintained, landscaped. The grounds will be kept. There will be a play facility on the end cap, park, if you will, for the restaurant. That it's not only a convenience store. Remember, we've got retail and/or a restaurant use in works now. This is on a 2-acre tract of land as opposed to a 3/4 acre tract of land, which most convenience stores outside of Racetrack and Quick Trip could fit on. So I believe that the presentation is a new and modern and clean look, and I believe that with participation with staff and members of the community, we can make this a successful project. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Gregory.
Yes, Mr. Chair, you know, I know a lot of times we get hung up on, we get stuck on what we have already, and we become so accepting of that. But as the presentation, you know, we showed Saturday, this is total disrespect what these gas stations are doing in our community. Gas stations that are 16 to 20 years old. You get off on Highway 42, I mean, look at the old service stations with old pumps out there. We deserve better. We've worked with these developers to bring something nice to the community where they're going to support the community. Yeah, if your kids leave school, you got 5 minutes before you get home. It's a safe place where your child can go. Provided some healthy options in addition to the candy bars and so forth. A place where you feel safe with your family members going to get gas and not smelling like marijuana when they pass through the store or see signs covering up windows saying they sell blunts and everything. We gotta open up our eyes, y'all. These service stations have been around in 20 years and we deserve better. And with that, Mr. Chair, I offer a motion to approve this petition.
Is there a second?
Second.
Probably moved in second. To any questions? My only question is this rendering of this gas station here, and the playground has a fence around it. That is a fence I see, right? Yeah.
Correct. So that we don't get an errant kid to wander out into the parking lot.
And you said there's a retail or a restaurant component to the building?
Right. If you look at the different elevations and the different protrusions, both vertically and horizontally, the end cap, it will be, and you'll see the patio in there where he's got the cursor. The patio area is outside dining, and the interior will be interior dining as well.
Any other questions?
What, do you have a restaurant since it's
We
in-
don't have any recording of few, but we don't have any letters of intent as of this day.
Can you state who they might be?
Well, you know, naturally I'd like to get a Dunkin' Donuts in there, but that's not gonna happen. So, some local mom and pops have expressed interest.
I say Dunkin' Donuts not a restaurant though.
Well, it depends on what your diet is, right?
That's the point.
This is in my area. I know what the area
Yeah.
needs and what they're looking for right now. And I've met with the developers and we, you know, worked with the school system to get some of these kids involved. and some of the branding in the store and so forth, so.
Any other questions?
I guess I do want to have a question. How will the kids be involved?
Just
That's
fam,
not just,
the
I'm sorry?
family,
Okay.
just coming to eat or coming to share.
The family environment is what they're saying. All right, any other questions? Here, none. Those in favor, aye.
Mr. Chairman, it has 6 conditions with it.
Oh, read, well,
There's short conditions.
sir, hold on a second.
You want me to read them? Okay.
Read the conditions.
The first condition is shown on your agenda. It's been modified to state the site shall be limited to a convenience store, gasoline fuel pumps, not more than 5, and additional retail services, subject to the permitted uses within the Clayton Code under GB. Additionally, the site shall include landscaping, open play area, and the architectural appearance reflected within the applicant's submitted site plan and elevation graphics. 2, all trash refuse areas to be enclosed on 3 sides with brick or other masonry materials consistent with the primary building materials. No outside vending. Condition number 4, provide 1 trash acceptable container for each service pump at the store entrance. Condition number 5, all internal access agreements to be reviewed by the Transportation and Development Department. Condition number 6, a lot combination or subdivision of land may not create a land lot without road access to either Rex Road or Mount Zion Road. Those are the 6 conditions.
And you agreed to all those conditions,
We
right?
do.
All right, Madam Clerk, please let the record reflect that he is in agreement with all conditions. Those in favor, aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you, sir.
Next item is BOC 21010081, which is the FLUP, amend the land use map, MDR to GC.
The applicant, Silver Consulting, is requesting a future land use map amendment for 1.5 acres of land for property located at 6403 and 6391 Highway 42, Rex, Georgia. The request for the FLUP is to change the property from medium-density residential to general commercial to allow for a convenience store with gasoline service pumps. The subject property is located near the intersection of Fielder Road and Highway 42. The parcel ID, being 2 parcels, are represented on the agenda. Staff recommendation is for denial. Zoning Advisory Group recommendation is also for denial.
All right. Sir, applicant, how many minutes in rebuttal? Would you like to reserve any minutes for rebuttal?
I would like to reserve 5 minutes as well.
Okay, please state your name again.
Terry Boomer, Civil Consulting Engineers, 211 East Main Street, Canton, Georgia. I'm the civil engineer and project manager for the developer on the property at Fielder Road and Rex. Fielder Road and Highway 42, excuse me. This is on a smaller site. It's the same use, same developer, same building products, and on this one, we've got a unique situation where we've got residents behind us. We have a 40-foot natural buffer that will be landscaped to buffer standards in the rear of the property. I can't keep up with the teleprompter. and we will also put an opaque fence, privacy screening fence, to the rear of the property to abate noise, litter, trash, and eliminate cut-through pedestrian traffic. The property, in the earlier meetings, the property was, somebody had asked about security. There will be cameras and there will be on-site protocols in place for security. This is in a line, the driveway aligns with the existing convenience store across the street. It's a Citgo, I believe. I have photos of the Citgo here if anybody would like those. There'll be a driveway. There'll be also a right-in, right-out driveway to the south on the main road for entering and exiting traffic. We've got a median out there that won't allow the full movement access. And at this time, we're going to, on the corner, just to buffer and mitigate the impacts of commercial development on the corner, we've chosen to put in a decorative landscaping feature area, maybe with a porte-cochere or a gazebo, if you will, trying to dress up that node. There are some gas stations also in this area within a mile radius. I think we counted 6 on this one on the mile radius map there, or 4, excuse me. And I have photos of those if anybody would like to see. They're obsolete, they're 20 years old. There's missing pumps, there's garbage and litter and debris, and we want to bring in a better, finer quality product to the area. Thank you. I reserve the remainder of my time.
Anybody like to speak in favor of the applicant's request? Please, ma'am.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. Brenda Harrison, unincorporated Clayton County, and I'm confused. The picture that planning and zoning staff showed was a picture I thought I saw the commissioner present on Saturday for the location of Highway 42 and Fielder Road. So this location here, is this the one for Fielder Road for sure?
Yes, that's correct. This is that intersection of Fielder and Highway 42.
Okay, so the larger one where he's talking about maybe playground and restaurant, that's the one on Mount Zion and Rex?
That's correct.
Okay. So this is in reference to the location at Highway 42. My concern is that Planning and Zoning, ZAG, and the Clayton County Water Authority are concerned about the storm water overflow for the area. Now, Planning and Zoning even stated in their denial, should the request be approved, staff recommends that conditions be added to minimize anticipated impacts on surrounding properties. There's a water flow problem at this location, and I would love to have the commissioners examine the recommendations or denials of the recommendations from the Water Authority and from the Zoning and Planning and ZAG before actually approving this particular location, because water is not our friend under no circumstances. And we want to make sure that this location is safe. So, I don't mind the gas station if, the community wants that.
I'm sorry, ma'am, your time is up.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anybody would like to speak in opposition? Please come forward.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good.
My name is Jackie Giddens. If I talk fast, I'm just normal, Jackie Giddens. My house is directly behind where they're proposing the gas station at. My concern is, I've lived there since 1971, actually on that corner that he now is proposing for the gas station. And the traffic right there and the accidents is ridiculous. This is not gonna help that. He's talking about coming out on the same side of the street as the other gas station comes out at. We already, every day, I know the police officers know, I can't even get in my driveway in the afternoon because it's so crowded, literally. So how is this gonna help that? I don't know. And on top of that, Commissioner Sonia Single Gregory came to my house proposing 2 years ago it was gonna be a Bojangles. She said she would get with me and my husband and we could speak with the developers. We never got that from her, never. We never got that. Then she texted my cell phone about this and said we didn't need another gas station. She said we have enough there, which is true. We do. So, I mean, I'm confused now, but she's gonna support this when she said we didn't need it. So.
Ma'am, I can't make somebody build the Bojangles. When they pulled out, they just pulled out.
No, I'm not discussing, I'm saying that you said you would get with me though, and you never got with me, and I didn't know what was going on. So, and I tried to text you back, but you did text me about this gas station and said we have enough gas stations in this area.
All that.
Well, I have the text, and she said, and you said that you was not gonna approve that. So if you do approve that, you're going against what you text to me. And like I said, the accidents in this corner they are terrible. Anybody that lives in this area knows that. And even the police officers. Matter of fact, I have on my phone that just happened just the other night, and the car flipped and rolled into that property area. So it's not a good area. It's not going to help it by putting another gas station beside it. I realize what you're saying, making it nicer. I get that, but that's not going to help. So I oppose it. So.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else in opposition? Come forward.
How about y'all walking a little faster, see, nothing like time.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Garber,
good evening,
please.
Mr. Chairman. My name is Mr. Augustine Negari, and I own the daycare on number 6359 Highway 42. I think that this development will not be suitable for that location. My reasons are, one, the median on the road is divided, so you can only go in there through heading towards south. You cannot go in from all sides of the road because there is a raised median on the road. I'm sorry about my cracked voice. And there are two schools. Apart from my preschool, there's another one directly opposite me. And these two schools have been there, we've been there since 1992. And I think that an additional gas station to the one that is there now will not be good for the traffic situation. The impact will be enormous, and I would recommend very strongly that we deny the request. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Next. Mr. Andrews. Mr. Loach.
Again, Regina Deloach, unincorporated Rex. I'm asking that we deny this petitioner's request. If you drive 42 from the beginning of Breckenridge all the way down to Forest Parkway, there's a total of 11 gas stations already in that area. To place another gas station there does not, another pretty gas station, where is it in the contractual agreement with this particular gas station that he would uphold to that he would maintain that property over the next 10 to 15 years. What we should do is be working with code enforcement to tell code enforcement to go into those current convenience stores with gasoline and uphold to making their property nice for our area. But to add another gas station is not what the Rex community wants, because we have not gotten to the point to even deal with looking at another issue that is going to come on our plate. Again, gas stations also devalue the property because when they drop those tanks in the ground, that's when we start dealing with toxic materials. So thank you. I'm asking that you deny.
Mr. Andrews.
Again, Drew Andrews, unincorporated Jonesboro. I also ask that you deny. Again, looking on Terra Boulevard, there's two gas stations that has been abandoned now, and one on 138. And you can see that once you install and place a gas station, the land can't be used the same. You have to dig those tanks out. And that's what's happening on Terra Boulevard right now. So that's why I ask that you please consider not approving this for future land use. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Matt Giddens, I live right directly behind the gas station there. And DOT come in a few years ago and widened the road, widened the highway, set us in the hole. So we do have a water problem there. And I would like to know how they're going to address this. You're going to put a gas station. I'm already in a hole. We have 7 gas stations within a half a mile from that location right there. I agree. Let's clean up what we have. We don't need a new one. We have plenty. Thank you. I oppose that.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else?
Yeah, my name is James Swint, and I've lived in Rex for 43 years. I know most of the people that's done come up here and talked. We don't need another gas station. We need somewhere to buy food to eat. The wrecks that happen there are almost daily. Them having another store with cars coming in and out is gonna cause more wrecks and more people gonna get hurt. I deny putting another station there. We don't need another station. We got stations, and the old stations can be fixed up. They've been there, we've made done with them all these years, and you know, my thing is, if you want a better, Sonia was talking about bettering and making stuff look better, clean up what we got. But the thing is, everybody keeps talking about helping the small business. You put in a big station or a fancy station, you're gonna shut 3 or 4 of these 7 down. How's that helping anybody? People gonna lose jobs, and it ain't gonna help Clayton County, it ain't gonna help Rex. My thing is, keep what we got, fix up what we got, clean up what we got, just like the Rodnizer, and make things nice. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Garber.
Mickey Garber, unincorporated Rex, Georgia. I find that a man coming in here asking to petition for one gas station is an all right deal. I find a man coming in here petitioning for a second gas station being energetic. But I find a man coming in here petitioning for a third gas station absolutely ridiculous. Thank you for your time.
Anybody else? You've already spoken, sir.
I know, but I forgot something.
Unless anybody else got it, you got about 20 seconds to get up here.
All I wanted to say is, last time we had 400 signatures, this time we got 500.
Thank you, sir.
Opposing.
I got you. All right. Sir, you're on with your rebuttal. 5 minutes.
Thank you, and I appreciate it, and I really appreciate the community's comments. With regards to the wrecks out there, I can't do anything about the wrecks that have occurred in the past. You see that there is a long driveway into the shopping center before the gas station, if you will. What we can do is we can work with both Lee Kelly and the DOT to see if there's anything we can do to improve that intersection. We gladly will give right-of-way along the side street there for a future use, if the DOT and the traffic improvement program in Clayton County would facilitate an improvement down the road, whether it be federal funding, state funding, or county monies. Dedication of right-of-way we can do. The other driveway, like we said earlier, is a right-in, right-out driveway. There is a median in there, so it will be channelized, and the DOT will make us not, I think it's shown on there, just not in the rendered version, but we'll put a deceleration lane in there to get the traffic out of the way of the moving traffic to prevent rear ends as well. So the traffic, I think we can address with both DOT and not the existing traffic problems that they have, but we can add elements that will help mitigate the traffic, whether it's a widening of a DOT or some intersection improvements. If you notice there, one thing that wasn't mentioned is sidewalks. We're proposing sidewalks on both frontages for the pedestrians, a little safer manner for them to traverse and walk around the area. There are no sidewalks in that area right now. As far as stormwater is concerned, stormwater is always a problem, and it's one of my biggest bugaboos, and it's liability. We have to comply. I've talked with Catherine Samay, and I didn't realize that she had any oppositions to this or any negative comment on her staff report. But working with Catherine over the years, we've developed a pretty good rapport, and we do water quality, detention attenuation, runoff reduction per the Georgia Stormwater Manual, coastal supplement. We provide downstream analysis, 10% analysis, the downstream spot. What we can do and what we're willing to do is not only reduce the rate of runoff, which we're required to do anyway by code and ordinance, but reduce it even further. Another 10% is not out of the question, another 15%, so that you can knock that rate of runoff down and hold it in we've got an underground storage there, and I'll talk about the impervious area versus pervious in a moment. And then when you release it, you don't release it in a point discharge. You make sure if you don't have you make sure that you run it over a level spreader, or you run it through some energy dissipators, so that the energy of your storm system upon discharge is depleted. The property is considerable. I think we've got a 50% green area on this property, which is outstanding, and that's going to drive our curve numbers down, our C factors down, which will allow more green area, more infiltration, more water. And you can see just by the color-coded rendering there that we're leaving the majority of this property green. And then we're going to come in with the additional landscaping for the beautification buffering of. And I did it in 4 minutes. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And
sir.
I'm here to entertain any questions as well.
Okay. All right, Ms. Pam, is there any, there was no conditions to this?
No, there are no conditions. It's the board's will.
Commissioner Gregory.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, Ms. Span, what is you said the staff has some water issues. What is that?
At this stage, without the hydraulic study submitted, the Clayton County Water Authority always reserve the opportunity to review according to the code. So basically, we normally just state that any stormwater management concerns be addressed subject to the approval of the Clayton County Water Authority. That's how we normally address that, because generally in preliminary zoning stages, they don't have the detailed hydrology to formalize, recommend exactly how to treat it. But however they treat the stormwater, it would be according to the base code.
Okay. What I would like to do is get with the Office of Resiliency, and let's see if we can get a traffic assessment, crime and revenue assessment of stores in the area, because most definitely people can come up and say, we got this number of stores and so forth, but that's actually economic development, professional person's, recommendation. I can just say, I don't know how many houses or whatever, but I'm gonna ask if the petitioner would hold this until the third, zoning meeting in April, so that we can get with, the Office of Resiliency to look at some of the issues, mainly the water issue that you mentioned, Ms. Span.
Yes, that would be April 20th would be the next.
Sir.
And I one of the things I want to keep in mind, you can't make anybody invest in your community. If they got a 20-year-old store is paid for, you think they're gonna fix it up like this? Nope, not really. And as folks get off that interstate and having to go to 20-year-old nasty bathrooms and so forth, and looking at it when you get off the interstate, it's kind of interesting to me that we're not wanting better for our community, that when people get off that interstate on 675, and they'll say, well, what kind of community is this? I'd like to live here, what kind of houses or whatever. But once they get off and see this same old Chevron that's been here 20 years or whatever. But anyway, we're gonna table that. If the petitioner will agree to table this until April.
Are you in agreement with that?
We
sir?
are.
Okay, until April 20th, right?
That's fine.
Okay. Commissioner, go ahead. With your motion? Go ahead, I'm sorry, ma'am.
Okay, motion to table this until the third zoning meeting in April.
You're saying Thursday.
Second.
Hold on a second, we need clarification. You keep saying the third zoning meeting in April.
That's April 20th. I think Commissioner Gregor's including your work session meetings. But if we just go on with zoning hearing meetings, it would be the April 20th meeting,
Our second
what was
regular
generally on the
meeting.
third Tuesday, yes.
Okay, all right. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Any questions? Those in favor, aye. Aye. Oppose? It's unanimous.
And for
Madam
clarity,
Clerk.
this is going to be decision only.
Yes.
The next item is item number 31, BOC 21010079, rezone RS 110 to GB.
This is a related case. The applicant, Silva Consulting, is requesting a conditional use permit in the GB General Business District for a convenience store with gasoline service stations on 1.5 acres of land, again located at 6403 and 6391 Highway 42, Rex, Georgia. Again, the property is proposed for a convenience store with gasoline services. The property is located at the intersection of Fielder Road and Highway 42. The two parcel ID numbers are identified on the agenda. So again, staff recommendations for denial and the zoning advisory group recommendations for denial.
Terry Boomer, Civil Consulting Engineers, 211 East Main Street. I recommend that we table this as well, as it's a sister petition.
Commissioner Gregory, did you hear him?
Okay. Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, I offer a motion to table this petition until April, what was that date again, Ms. Graham?
20th.
April 20th.
April 20th.
All right.
Second.
Probably moved in second. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
The next item is BOC 21010080, which is a CUP.
The applicant, Terrence Curtis, on behalf of the Calvary Baptist Church of East Point, is requesting a conditional use permit in the General Business District for modifications to the existing place of worship. The property is located on 0.99 acres of land and at the address of 1599 Betty Talmadge. The parcel ID number is identified on the agenda. The staff recommendations for approval with two conditions. The ZAG recommendation is to support that recommendation with the two conditions.
Can you hold 1 second?
Hold on a second.
There was one more.
There's one more what?
Looks like number 32 was a CUP.
Oh.
That wasn't read.
32?
It's a
That's what I
CUP
thought.
and the rezoning,
31 was a rezoning.
Mm-hmm.
and 32 is,
32 was the CUP.
30, 31. Okay, that number 31 is,
there was nothing ever put in there but that heading for 31, which was the rezoning, and then 32 was the CUP for the same property.
that would be, I could read that as a companion case. The companion case to the future land use plan amendment is the rezoning. Show all three. The applicant is Silva Consulting, is requesting the rezoning of the property from, the property is being rezoned from, it's been rezoned from residential to general business at 6403 and 6391 Highway 42. Again, the related use is for a convenience store with gasoline services located, property located at the intersection of Fielder Road and Highway 42.
No, this
Actually, this is for the conditional use permit for that.
Well, I'm sorry, that's the one I read the last time, but kind of out of order.
she's already tabled the the rezoning, so now the one that needs to be done is the CUP.
Okay, I had already sounded that, but I'll resound the CUP. Again, this is a related matter. It starts with a future land use plan amendment, which we've acted on, then there's a rezoning, and then the third companion case is for a conditional use permit. This is to allow a convenience gas service station within the GB district, once zoned. Again, the address is 6403 and 6391 Highway 42 for the gasoline services and convenience store. Property located at the intersection of Fielder Road and Highway 42. The parcel ID number of the two properties are identified on your agenda. The staff and zoning advisory group recommendation is for denial.
And this was the third companion?
That's the
to
third
that,
companion case.
Okay, so Commissioner Gregory, this is a companion case. I guess we just need you to table this.
Right. Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. I offer motion to table this petition until April. Can I keep that date in my mind?
20th.
Okay?
20th.
Okay, April 20th, okay?
Second?
Properly moved and second. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Okay, now the next item is BOC 2101-82, which is CUP modification to existing place of worship.
Spam.
Okay, now we're on agenda item number 33.
Yes.
Okay, agenda item number 33, again, I read it to the record. The applicant, Terrence Curtis, on behalf of Calvary Baptist Church of East Point, is requesting a conditional use permit in the general business district for modifications to the existing place of worship that's located on 0.99 acres of land. Subject property is located at 1599 Betty Talmadge Avenue. Parcel ID is identified on your agenda. Staff recommendation is for approval conditional with 2 conditions, and ZAG support that recommendation of approval with 2 conditions.
Faster.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, and Commissioners virtually. Thank you all for this time.
Anything you want to say in reference to your request?
Okay, all right. First, I'd just like to say some 20 years ago, my family and I moved here to Clayton County. 12 years ago, we relocated our church from Fulton County to Clayton County. And Clayton County has been very good to us personally and ministerially. And as our church continues to grow, one of the things that we believe that is necessary for the continued and sustained growth is to renovate and to modernize our present sanctuary because the building was built, I believe, in the 1960s, and so it's very dated. And in order for us to do that, we need to make a minor adjustment, to make a minor addition to the front of the building, because the plan is to actually turn the sanctuary where the pulpit is going would be to the front. We need to put it at the entrance of the church now, is what we'll be doing. And we appreciate your zoning commission for approving our plans, and we humbly ask that you all would do the same.
Okay, thank you, sir. Does anybody here want to speak in favor of the applicant's request? Anybody in favor? Anybody in opposition? Commissioner Davis.
I move that we approve with the 2 conditions as stated.
I'll second the motion.
I'd like to second that.
Any questions?
Could you read in the record?
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. The conditions.
I'll read into the record the 2 recommended conditions. Number 1, the expansion shall be consistent with the site plan dated 12/19/19, named Calvary Church, to allow the lobby addition. Condition number 2, the subject property shall be subject to the provisions of the CUP for a place of worship in the existing structure with the approved improvements as shown on the site plan.
You agree with those conditions, Pastor?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The motion's been made and properly second. Any questions? I think Commissioner Franklin has some.
No, sir.
Okay. All right, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's approved. Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
Pastor Curtis,
Chair,
then Pastor.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I apologize.
I didn't want to ask a question. I just wanted to say hello to one of my favorites.
Hello, Commissioner.
Amen.
Hello,
And
hello.
Pastor, I want to say thank you so much for what y'all do with feeding the community. You know, during this pandemic, we don't get a chance to say thank you enough. And I drive by, and you are actually holding up the sign, getting people to come over and giving them food. And so we greatly appreciate you, sir.
Oh,
and
thank
your
you.
family.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you, sir.
Now,
Thank
go
you.
back before then, he was a volunteer at Money's Mill High, 12
Yes.
years. Faithful. Yes.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you all do.
Take care, sir.
Yes, sir.
Well, Mr. Chair, can I have one more point of privilege since we're gonna go back and forth?
Commissioner
And he-
Franklin.
and-
Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry?
No, I said go ahead.
He can sing too, y'all. Thank you.
And preach, I guess you can say it. So, all right, madam.
The next item is ordinance 2021-55. You take.
Go ahead. Oh, okay. that's-
Tax amendment.
That's the ordinance. Agenda item number 34, which is represented by ordinance number 202155. The text amendment agenda number item is BOC 2101-0084. The Clayton County Board of Commissioners initiates an amendment to the official zoning ordinance text, which governs the exercise of zoning power in accordance with Appendix A, Article 1, Section 1.5, defined words. This is to delete the term discount store, to add a new defined term referred to as small box discount variety store, and also to establish development standards under Article 6, Section 6.51, to regulate the permitted and conditional uses of Article 3 zoning districts as they relate to where a discount store shall be located. Reasons for this recommended text. There are findings that there are more small box discount variety stores in Clayton County, and when we refer to that term, we're speaking loosely as we refer to dollar stores, that is located in Clayton County than full-service grocery stores. Clayton County residents face increasing threats of not having proper access to fresh and affordable fruits and vegetables because residents typically have more access to small box discount variety stores than full grocery stores, and healthy options are not available or accessible. At least unhealthy foods are generally more accessible in the discount stores. The Board of Commissioners desires to promote the availability of fresh and quality foods, especially in underserved neighborhoods, by accessing the food retail environment based upon an evaluation of the subject retail landscape at the time the application for the conditional use permit is made. As stated, this text amendment redefines what we refer to as discount store to small box variety store. It's a lengthy definition, but I will read the definition so that we are clear on what we intend when we state small box discount variety store. That is a retail establishment with a floor area less than 12,000 square feet that offers for sale a combination and a variety of convenience shopping goods and consumer shopping goods, including household goods, personal care products, entertainment products, electronics, and other consumer products, including food or beverages for off-premise consumption, and that continuously offer a majority of the items in their inventory for sale at a price less than $10 per item. However, this definition does not include full-service grocery stores, stores which include a pharmacy or any place of business of a pharmacist, does not include convenience stores with the sale of gasoline services, beauty supply stores, art supply stores, office supply stores, small retail stores which typically less than 5,000 square feet, which are housed inside of an office building. That is a new defined term for small box discount variety store. Along with that, the zoning districts that are impacted will be that in the code, we will be striking from the code the term discount store, and we'll be adding the new term small box variety discount store. And these uses will become a conditional use in the general business district, the mixed commercial industrial district, the MXR, mixed residential multifamily district, the Highway 54 overlay district, and the use will be struck from the uses under the MX district, and it will continue to be a prohibited use under the MX district. The text amendment also introduces development standards. There, I will state for the record that the draft before you have development standards from A through G. I'm making an added clarification to condition number C. Condition number C should state if located at least 5,281 feet from another small box discount variety store. I'll go on to capitalize on what all the development standards entail. These development standards will be reviewed at the time a conditional use permit application is presented. The development standards prohibit these discount stores within 1 mile of each other. It also prohibits them within 5 miles of a full-service grocery store, and 10% of the floor space has to be used for fresh produce. The outside dumpsters have to be enclosed. No outdoor displays are allowed, and exterior cameras are required to the exterior. So that's pretty much a summary of the development standards that's presented, that's before you today, and that makes up the full balance of the small box variety discount store text amendment. Are there any questions regarding this proposed text amendment?
I do have one. If one of these small box variety discount store closes down, can another come in and open up
Yes.
within that?
Right, under the legal non-conforming clause, if that store does not close for, if it stays within the frame of time that the code allows, then the use can continue over. And this code also does provide for a provision that if they were in the same shopping center and they moved from one suite to another suite, they could also do that as well.
Okay.
All right, this is a public hearing. So is anybody here in favor of the BOC's request?
In favor of the new.
In favor of this new ordinance?
Yes.
Come to the mic, sir.
What's the good thing you got? You should have nobody to talk to. Mickey Garber, unincorporated, Rex, Georgia. Mr. Chairman, Board of Commissioners, and the new wording gives greater clarification to what we're trying to do. And what we're looking for is clarification. And I say any effort in clarifying how we govern ourselves is welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody want to speak in opposition? All right. Hearing none. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second the vote. I'll second it. Any questions? Those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? It's unanimous. Madam Clerk.
Mr. Chair, I would like a point of privilege, please. Now wait.
Commissioner Franklin.
I think we need a round of applause for this. This is something that has been talked about. I know that the other commissioners who I've definitely brought up in our proclamation tonight have talked about it. And this is something I was told that could not happen. But I am so grateful that we're finally seeing this happen tonight. And so it definitely shows that delay is not denial. And as we have to continue to be persistent in what's going to be best for our community. So I am so excited. Thank you. And thank you to the staff for working on this. This is the first step, but we got to make sure we keep it on our agenda through NACO, ACCG again, so that we can continue to tighten up the language even further. So I am so excited.
Madam Clerk.
The next item is BOC 2101-0085, which was a text associated with ordinance 2021-56.
Yes, agenda item number 35, ordinance number 202156 is connected to the text amendment, BOC 2101-0085. The Clayton County Board of Commissioners initiates an amendment to the official zoning ordinance text, which governs the exercise of zoning powers in accordance with Appendix A, Article 1, Section 1.5, define words, to modify the definitions and zoning requirements for boarding homes, personal care homes, and group homes, and also to amend the term family, to establish development standards under Article 6, Section 6.12, and to regulate the permitted and conditional uses of Article 3, zoning districts and intent, as well as to address how it's addressed in the occupational license under Chapter 22.40. The Board of Commissioners has determined there's a need to revise the Clayton County zoning ordinance as it relates to the boarding homes, group homes, and personal care homes. This type of group dwellings are governed by the number of persons considered legally as a family. The current definition states that not more than 4 unrelated persons may be classified as a family and allowed in a single-family district by right. The proposed text amendment reduces the number from 4 to 3 unrelated persons. The number of related persons, of course, are not governed because as a family, of course, you could be 4, 5, 6, however many persons that are related, they are represented as a family. But if you are unrelated, that's when you are impacted by the definition of family. And again, the definition has been amended to no longer allow 4 unrelated persons in a single-family district, but is reducing that number down to 3 unrelated persons. That ties in with how many persons could occupy the group homes that we just referred to as boarding homes, personal care homes, and group homes. This text amendment does not address transitional homes. The transitional homes are homes that are generally halfway houses, refers to some type of rehabilitation type homes or some other treatment facilities. We will follow up in meetings to come on a text amendment related to transitional homes. Again, this is only to address boarding homes, personal care homes, and group homes in our current code. And the number of persons that's addressed in a family. Each district is being amended so that it's clear in the zoning districts that all the single-family residential districts will now only recognize 3 unrelated persons in group facilities. Next one. In addition to there are conditional standards that are reviewed with the CUP. Those standards primarily relate to the size of the property. If you're in a district and you're permitted by right, 3 would be the maximum number. If it's conditional, it would be 4 or more. As a conditional use, and which would fall upon the conditional use permit, there are development standards that have to be adhered to. In particular, those development standards are listed on your report. There's standards A through I. These are existing standards. However, these standards have been modified. Will require a minimum of 2 acres for any property that will house 4 or more persons. And the distance of these facilities would have to maintain at least 1 mile between each other so that one community would not be saturated with group homes. And they would also require building and fire inspections for any facility that's 4 or more. And it also, the business license ordinance, occupational ordinance, is also being amended to state that these type facilities are required to obtain a business license to operate in a single-family home. If there are any questions related to this proposed text amendment, I'll be happy to address that for you.
All right, so this is a public hearing. Is there anybody want to speak in favor of?
Would it pass without public comment?
Yeah, I got a good feeling it probably will.
Okay, so then y'all go ahead.
Does anybody want to speak in opposition to? All right, is there a motion? I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Any seconds? Questions? Whoa. Any questions? Hearing none, those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous.
Yeah, I don't have a question, Chairman, but I just want to say thank you to staff for presenting this.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
All right, do we need an executive session? Go ahead.
I know you would love me to say no,
I
but
would love it.
unfortunately, we have executive session on real estate, personnel, and litigation.
Trifecta. All right, is there a motion for litigation, real estate, and personnel?
Motion to go into executive
I'll
session.
second the motion. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. All right, motion to reconvene.
So moved.
I'll second. Those in favor, aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Let me just reassure with the roll call. Commissioner Gregory.
Here.
Commissioner Hambrick.
Present.
Commissioner Franklin. Commissioner Franklin. Commissioner Davis.
Present.
Commissioner Franklin.
Present.
All right, we're here and accounted for. We have anything we need to discuss?
Chairman, Vice Chair, and Commissioners. In regards to the executive session request 21-03, presented on behalf of the Sheriff Department, Human Resources is requesting step increases for the employees identified in Addendum 1 of the correspondence that was submitted to the Board of Commissioners dated March 15, 2021. The annual cost of the request is $50,774.
All right, is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second, Chair.
Probably moved in second. Any questions? All right, and this impacts 5 positions, correct?
Yes, sir, five
Okay.
positions.
And just for the record, I do have an issue with one of those positions, the way it's structured, but any other questions?
Wait, hold on. What did you say, Chairman? 'Cause
I myself have a issue with the way one of the positions, the request for one of the positions.
Can we do it separately? Or is it too late? I have a question too.
I think it would definitely impact the amount of money that the request would cost, unless we hold it maybe one more session until we work that out with the Sheriff's Department.
You could go either way. It's just a matter of whether,
Yeah, you can rescind.
Human Resources could get that information and split it out, since it was all done as one package. That would probably be pretty difficult to do on the fly.
Yeah.
Well, what I can say is it would reduce, well, let me say this, because I have it. I want to make sure that I'm giving the correct information. For that particular one, it will reduce the cost by $11,644. So that's the cost for that particular one.
Okay, well, we have a motion and a second. Hold on a second, Commissioner Hambrick, hold on just a second. So we would have to rescind the motion, or take a vote on the motion, and then either enter a new motion, or,
You could just, because you had a motion a second.
Right.
You could make an amendment to that motion, because you haven't voted on the one that's there. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Mr. Reed, what was the last thing you said?
I said you haven't voted on the one that's
So
pending.
so somebody can just amend the motion?
Correct.
Okay. You were saying something, Ms. Hambrick?
Mr. Reed.
Yes.
My understanding, tell me if I'm wrong, I made the motion. Well, wait a minute, I didn't wait to be acknowledged to speak, I apologize.
Yeah, because I was calling on Commissioner Hambrick. I think she had a question prior to. Commissioner Hambrick, did you have something?
Oh, no, I think you all are answering my question.
Okay, Commissioner Franklin.
Okay, So since I made the motion, actually, I would have to rescind the motion or amend the motion?
That's correct.
Correct. Okay, well, I don't want to amend it or rescind it at this point. I think I want to just take a vote on it and then we,
Do we have a
move
second?
forward unless it's just
Do we
the
get a
fact that you
second?
want to take that
Did we
one
get a second?
position out,
Did
as
we
you
get a
said,
second?
and then vote on everything else.
Okay, any other questions? All right,
I do have a question, I'm sorry.
yes, ma'am.
Well,
Commissioner
my
Amber.
question is, are we gonna take that one out? I have a problem with that.
No, Commissioner Franklin is not willing to amend or rescind her motion, so it is as stated.
So,
No, I'm not, look, it's getting late, you all, so, what is exactly are we trying to do at this point? You wanna just amend the one position, what's the title of the position?
The title commissioner is Sheriff Captain, and that one cost $11,644. That would change the total cost from $50,774 to $39,130.
Okay, so, for the sake of this meeting,
Hold on a second, Commissioner Hambrick. Go ahead, Commissioner Franklin.
for the sake of this meeting, so we can move forward, I would like to amend the motion to exclude that one position at this moment until we get further clarity. And, I would like to amend the motion.
All right, the motion's been amended. Is there a second?
second.
Probably moved to second. Are there any other questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Commissioner
And
Hambrick.
My question is, the position that's being taken out, is that the one where I decided to be a,
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
Any other questions? All right, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Anything else? Nothing. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.